Ah, creatures of the night, what sweet ska music they make. It is I, Count Dracula, also known as Ryan Iliopolis, and I am joined with my familiars. Excuse me, I'm Ryan Iliopolis, and I'm joined with my good friends as always. I got Sparks Witty right here.
For audio listeners, Ryan had fake vampire teeth in his mouth.
Totally.
Yeah, I was gonna
Just
get.
to explain.
Yeah. It was gonna happen. I got Ben Magnet here as well.
I was going to pretend that I should, if had I known, I was gonna like pull up a little wooden stake. It was like familiar now. Wait
I
till
was
the
Dracula.
daylight hours.
I'm Dracula every Halloween, usually at work, and I couldn't find my cape because I have a Dracula cape too, but I did find my fangs. But yeah, that's Ben Magnet, that's Sparks, and yeah, I'm fake Dracula with the fake fangs. We're here to talk about Renfield, the newest, hottest movie coming out in the year of our Lord 2023. Oh, don't say Lord in front of Dracula. But it is episode 323, and y'all, we just hit 300 subscribers.
That's true.
It's a small but very monumental moment. Every 100 feels like, oh wow, look at that, it's $100. Not really. We're still
Here on YouTube. So
yeah,
cheers to us.
pop it off. So if you're watching this live, if you're watching this, in the rewind, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for stopping by. Before we get into all the fun news that we always, Ben, you look like you're about to say something.
No, I was going to say Sparks just cracked open a cold one and he's already choking. Sparks, are you okay?
He loves to crack them open. That's what
Yeah,
he does.
he does.
Just like a bone breaker.
Audio listeners have no idea I'm not at all an alcoholic. So
And when I mean cold one, he just cracked open a drink. That's not alcoholic. What is that? Arizona?
this is a peace tea, my friend. A peace tea.
Might as well be there.
Okay.
Sponsorship itself.
Hell yeah. But yeah, before we get into all of our wonderful news and the review, we got some links. We got things. Hey, yo, the Fake Nerd Podcast, we do things.
That's why we get 300 subscribers.
It's how we got 300 subscribers. But before we talk about the Fake Nerd Podcast itself, Brandon T. McClure is not on this episode. Hi, friend. Hello, Brandon. He does have some stuff, though. He is still revisiting the Infinity Saga. Number 28, the helicarrier sequence from the Avengers. I did have to click the link to see what helicarrier moment he was talking about, because I wasn't totally sure. But it is the first helicarrier moment. It is a great big moment. Oh yeah, that thing exists. That thing is
Like when
rad.
the helicarrier comes out of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that is a good moment.
It's a big moment in the movie. I remember being in theaters and being like, oh damn.
Absolutely.
They did it.
And in the bottom in the links, we got Brandon's CBR work, his comic book resources work as well. So check that out. He works hard on those articles. Ben, speaking of working hard, you've got, let's see, 1, 2, 7, 8. You got a couple things in here.
I don't
it looks
have
like it might
8.
be only one actually.
I should only have one. It should only be Dean Dark.
Oh no, I'm just kidding. You're just a hard worker. That's all.
Well, he also appeared on Fake Nerds Watch, so that counts for him too.
It's true. You do have just one personal link though. It is Dean Dark episode 23, Fright at the Museum. Multiple Night at the Museum jokes in that episode. It was a great episode as always. What a great show that is.
I could not tell you how happy I was when our DM told us, like, because when we recorded it, we ended it. The episode prior to this one, the one that came out, when we were recording it, we actually ended the session when he said, "You hear things rumbling and coming alive in the museum." Myself, Aaron, who plays Eric, the Phantom of the Opera, and Dan, who plays Imhotep the Mummy, all three of us like, "Is this Night at the freaking museum?" We were so stoked to start Night at the Museum. I was so excited to do that, to do this little to do this adventure, and I can't wait to share it with all of you. Minor spoiler, we're not done at the museum after this episode. Wink wink, nudge nudge.
I mean, I don't think that's a spoiler when it's titled part 1.
Oh. There we go.
Hey man, it could be like History of the World where we don't get a sequel for 45 years.
That's
so like
true.
let's hope not.
Well, thankfully, you only have to wait a week or less than a week now, because the next episode's coming out on Wednesday.
Yep. And I will definitely be listening to it at work. Like I said, great show, Ben. Great show, Ben.
Thank you. And I have to say, a little sizzle for the episode that's coming out this week. I have been dying to talk to you guys about what happens in that episode. Just for specifically what happens to my character. It makes me so happy. I was having a very good day that day.
I love it. I love that you're having a good time with that. Speaking of having a good time, let's talk about the network. We got a bunch of things coming out this week. Yo, man, why don't you talk about the Real Score?
Yeah.
I hear there's an audio feed for y'all to listen to if you can't watch videos.
That's true. The Real Score is still sitting there. We're probably going to keep plugging it weekly until it gets a little more off the ground. But the Real Score is there. It's just the Batman episode with Michael Giacchino where we talk about film scores and how it works with the movie, and that's still got a video, got an audio feed. It's great. Our next episode comes out later this month.
Woo. Still, hey, that Real Score of Batman episode, still a good episode. Check it out.
Yeah.
Speaking of going places, why don't we go to the stars multiple
You
times?
mean are we gonna trek or are we gonna war there?
The answer is yes, Ben.
Ah,
The answer is yes, because we have 2 Fake Nerds watches. The first is Star Trek Picard, episode 8 of season 3, Surrender. From what I hear, not just from Brandon, but from the internet, people really like this season of Picard, which is fantastic because they're not saying the same thing about those previous seasons. And a show like this, where it's, Jean-Luc Picard and the whole crew, you'd hope it'd be good. So great to hear it. Great to hear it. Spock it up. That's true. We also have Star Wars, The Mandalorian, episodes 4 through 6, with the middle batch of the season. We are all talking about it on that show. We all have various opinions on how the season's going. I'm feeling very confident going into the finale. But that is for a Fake Nerds Watch to talk about, my friends.
that is
Right.
for the next Fake Nerds Watch for us to talk about.
Catch up on our conversation before the finale so you can hear us talk about those last 2 episodes, and maybe it'll have changed some minds about the whole season, and probably not. But
Yeah.
we'll see how it ends up.
Yeah, sometimes a nice ending can soften some things, but hey, it's still crunchy in the middle. You know what I mean? Before we get into the news, is there anything y'all want to talk about that you did in your week? Anything strike your fancy? Anything fun that you did?
I
Hi,
do.
is that Ben Magnet from the Fake Nerd Podcast?
Yes, hi, Ben Magnet, Super Mega Man nerd here. I want to talk to you about our Lord and Savior Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection because this came out this week and I got it. And boys, this game's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Now, okay, with a lot of other Legacy Collection games, Capcom actually put some time and effort into bring some quality of life improvements, making younger players, essentially easing younger players into Mega Man, because as we all know, with classic like the original Mega Man games, Mega Man X, they got a little bit of a difficulty curve. They're a little, hard. Legacy Collection or Battle Network is a little departure from what we know as Mega Man. It's definitely more of an RPG. You build a deck of battle chips to help your way along fighting viruses, random encounters, and all that. This game is awesome because they add so many different quality of life improvements that as I'm playing the very first Battle Network. I never got to experience the first 2 Battle Network games. I started from 3 and went from there. Mm-hmm. I am so happy I'm playing with this because there's a little mode I want to talk about called Buster Max mode. Now, when you start, if you just do a regular vanilla, if you have a GBA cartridge of Mega Man Battle Network, you slap that sucker in, your Mega Man's Mega Buster only does 1 point of damage. And I mean, you can upgrade it throughout the game, but only does 1 point of damage. In the Legacy Collection, you could do something called Buster Max mode, where it starts off doing 100 points of damage right out of the gate.
Man, busting makes them feel good.
And also helps because I will admit the games are a little grindy. You have to, part of the joy of the Battle Network games is seeing Mega Man get stronger as the game progresses, but also it's grindy. There are times where you're just like, I just want to get through this damn dungeon. Why are so many viruses attacking me? Like you get into a virus battle, 2 steps later you get into another virus battle, and you just go, ugh. This one streamlines the process so well, and it also helps with collecting those rarer battle chips, because if you get a high busting level, you get the rare battle chips, and it makes that so much easier. I'm playing with Buster, and also you could turn it on or off whenever you want. You are not stuck with it.
Got a question.
Yes.
I played the first couple. This is the first 3, is it right?
All of them.
Shut your mouth. What? I thought, no way.
How
many is that? How many is it? Like
10.
I thought there was like 7. Are you kidding me?
So there's 6 games, but with Battle Network 3, 4, 5, and 6, there are different versions.
They did the Pokemon shit. I remember that. Yeah,
they did.
I think that's why I stopped playing them.
So cool thing about having the physical game itself. The physical game. So as you guys know, especially with Mega Man and Mega Man X Legacy Collections, they split them in half, Volume 1 and Volume 2. When you bought the physical version, Volume 1 was always on the cart, and they gave you a downloadable code for Volume 2, correct?
Sure.
Yeah, that's what they did. No, whereas with this one, both volumes are on the single cart. So when you plug it into your Switch and turn it on, both volumes just pop up. So you don't have to do a download code at all.
It is the interesting thing. This doesn't happen like very often with like console games, but like PC games, you do not, like they don't sell PC games anymore like in stores, and if you do, it's usually just like a digital copy. It is usually just like a box with like a code in there because it's like the PC thing is so streamlined. It's like you can just download it, right?
Yep.
And Nintendo was doing that for some, like certain games do that where like if you buy like the Game of the Year edition, you'll get the game, but you still have to download everything through like a code. And just like just put it all on the disc. And I'm glad that they did that.
Nothing was crazier. Sorry, just real quick. Nothing was crazier than the like Ultimate God of War Ragnarok edition that gave you a steelbook case but no game disc.
That's the absolute worst thing.
That's
insane.
That was, I hated that bit. I mean, I'm okay with getting like because there's with Final Fantasy VII Remake and Kingdom Hearts, when I got those deluxe editions that came with a steelbook, they came with a regular case. The game wasn't inside the steelbook. You just had to transfer over it.
Yeah.
I wasn't too upset about it. I was just like, all right, cool. If I need an extra case for something, I could just zombify this one. That's no problem. But the fact that when you buy a game and it comes as like, hey, here's the code, and then here's a steelbook, but no game inside of it, it's like, then what's the freaking point?
Yeah, it's weird. Another question. So this isn't just we put a slap of paint over it. Like it's actually like they went in and they, for all 10 games,
all of them.
That's incredible. How much is it? Is it 60?
It is $60.
It's still 10 games, like, and those are long ass games. So like
they are. I mean, Buster Max mode helps, and I'm playing through Mega Man Battle Network 1, and they were even giving me options like, hey, here's some power up things to make your Buster stronger, because you can definitely see the RPG elements. Because when you go into a certain thing of the menu, you can give Mega Man like some armor, you can give him stronger Buster attacks. I thought, I don't need this. I already have Buster Max mode on. Even with Buster Max mode on, I can still power up the Mega Buster so it does like 150 points worth of damage now. It's like, oh, I feel like God, this is great.
I don't know if I could play like 10 consecutive versions of that game for like a million hours, but like I love that grid battle system. Like I love like tactics games and like the way that game operates. Like I loved those first couple games. So like I might like wait for this to go on sale, and I'll definitely like this is on Switch, right? Switch.
Yeah, it's on Switch. Okay. It's on Switch, PS5, or PS4.
Oh, it's on PS5.
It's on all major consoles. I got it for the Switch personally because I loved the Battle Network games for my GBA.
Oh, it is handheld. What am I talking about? Of course.
Yeah, outside of Mega Man Legends and Mega Man X, Mega Man Battle Network was one of the Mega Man games that I was buying because these almost came out every year. Like there was a new Battle Network game almost every year, and I had to have it. I absolutely adore the series. And now that, because these games physical are very expensive, it just loose even. And now there's a collection with every single one, with every single version on it. And you could just feel the love and care that Capcom put into this legacy collection. And it's just great. Of course you have the usual stuff. You could turn filters on and off. You could smooth the pixels out. You could keep it as like, you can change the size of the screen. You have borders, and the artwork is phenomenal. When you turn the game on, you actually have Mega Man talking to you, and it's fantastic. Like it depends on what time of night. Last night I was playing till super late at night. I go to the home screen and Mega Man was like, man, it is so late. You should probably go to bed. I'm like, this it's just like the anime. And speaking of the anime, another thing I want to talk about is in celebration of this game's release that happened a few weeks ago. I can't believe I haven't talked about it yet. Capcom USA released both seasons of Mega Man NT Warrior on YouTube for everyone to watch for free. You don't have to have a YouTube Red account. You don't have, and there or a YouTube Premium account. You can just straight up watch the original anime. It is the dub episodes. Just warning you now, the dub is a little cringy because it's early 2000s dubbing, but it's awesome that Capcom is like, hey, we know there's an anime that you guys miss. Here it is on YouTube. There's no ads at all. There's no, like, as far as I can tell, there's no ads. I've been watching it. I'm on episode 7 or so. And it's just great because I absolutely loved this anime. And this anime came out at a time where I was really jonesing for some Mega Man content.
Yeah. It's funny. I played the first 3 of these games, but not that obviously they're incredible games. It's like I was more of a Mario platformer. Mega Man was a little too hardcore for me. Now that I'm older, I'm more appreciative of it. But back then I was like, oh no, I love these like tactics games where I'm just like moving around a grid and like hanging out with my homies for like 40 hours.
This remaster is this Legacy Collection is absolutely fantastic. I've only just touched the first game. I've been playing the first game for, I want to say, like an hour and a half or so. I've gone through like a few bosses, and I love Buster Max mode. It has just made my life so much easier. So I can I feel like with Buster Max mode on, I could not speedrun, but I could get through the game quick. Because like you said, Ryan, these are long games. These are pretty decently chunky games for a Game Boy game. And it's it's just awesome to have that option. So if I ever want to like switch it out, it's like, okay, cool, no harm, no foul. Just turn it off, and you're back to normal.
I love it. Love it.
So yeah, a lot of Mega Man for me this week.
No, yeah, I understand doing one thing specifically for an entire week of time. I understand you. Anything else?
I watched a certain Star Wars show and a certain Indiana Jones movie that we talked about at a different time.
That's content, baby. That's content.
That is content. That is content. You're damn right.
You were consenting to that content then. What's up, Sparks? You do anything fun this week?
I did. I'll touch on it here because I didn't feel like it needed to be put in the news because I'm the only one who watched the show. But A League of Their Own, they did get the hammer that came down on them to say that they're only having 4 episodes for their second season, and that'll be it.
Yep.
This came after, like, we know, test audiences were the main driving force of why Amazon made this decision, regardless of like what later came as major accolades for the show and increased viewership that they acknowledged existed as a push for the episodes. I finished the season this week, and that show's great. And it's hard to look at how many people are talking about the importance of the show, and like that there aren't a lot of shows with a entirely female lead cast, and then also featuring multiple queer relationships and dynamics. And the fact that it's a period piece on top of that in the conversation, which is like, this is a point in time that being a queer woman isn't talked about much at all. So having that representation from this point in time is also like unique. And a lot of people have been really loving it. And so like, it's hard not to see the decision to end it as just totally at bare minimum ignorant, but at worst queerphobic.
Amazon?
Yeah. So it's a big bummer. I highly encourage people to watch the show. Nothing's going to change its fate, but I still think it's worth the go. I feel for the team that now has to like bring all their stuff together for 4 of the last episodes that are filming currently. So
they'll make them the best they can be.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Lots of shows this happens to, but like this one in particular feels like what a big loss, because there's something very, if you watch the show, you'll know there's something just very different from like everything else that we have on TV for a lot of reasons. So
Ben,
that's a big.
Ben wanted to say something. What's up, bro?
Yeah, I forgot. Actually, Sparks, when you talked about League of Their Own, that reminded me of something else I watched. I was really wanting to talk about, especially with you. The Owl House finale came out.
That's right.
I watched the Owl House finale. I absolutely love that show. I loved that finale, but at the same time, I'm still mad at Disney for what they did to the Owl House.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It sounds like, like it's one of those, yeah, I guess, okay, thanks situations where they got the ground to run the story to like the conclusion they wanted. They just had to get there a lot faster.
Yeah.
So like, I'm pleased that Disney gave them the room to have like large, like hour-long multiple episodes to the finale. Congrats, that's great. It is a shame that like Disney still truncated it entirely, that forced that to happen.
Yeah,
but like they gave them that runway to end the show on. I've heard a lot of positive stuff. I'm not caught up, so but I've heard a lot of good stuff.
Bunch of love all over the internet during the release. Yeah.
The Owl Show is a great cartoon. I look forward to finishing it. It's going to be another one of those situations like OKKO where I'm really going to drag my feet with it because I hate when things end.
Yeah, I feel you.
When good things just come to an end. Like I'm going to be like, but if I don't finish it, then it's like it's still there.
That is me with everything.
Yeah. So I'll be really bad with that. I also finished because I was in the mood and I'm like, I really should get this done. I finished The Bad Batch season 1, so I can start season 2 at some point in the near future.
How bad is that batch?
That Bad Batch is pretty bad, in a good way, like the good bad.
Yeah. Bad to the bone.
A little bit ugly. I really like it. I think that the season 1 finale is really strong. I think the season overall, like aside from a character that I think, like Filoni brings so much good stuff to Star Wars, and then every once in a while there's a character that he just decides like, man, this character just really works, and like I hard disagree. And like there is one of those in The Bad Batch for sure, who just constantly gets pushed more and more to being involved in the main character stories, and I'm like, this character does not jive for me because they're definitely one of those, like, you've watched enough Clone Wars, you've watched enough Rebels, you know these characters when they show up, they're ones that feel like they are like, when they're introduced, they are kind of like a single one-note character. And so their voice profile and their personality all feeds into that idea of like, my thing is, this is how I talk to people, and I talk bad to people, and this is like all my character is. And then it's like, you know what? Let's make that character in all the episodes. And but that character is not developing. They're not becoming a more nuanced person. They're just.
Is this a Jedi or
no? This is a basically the person who like harbors them midway through the season and gives them food and money to go do jobs. And like, her name is Sid, and she's just bland, and I don't care for her, but she keeps being shoved more and more into the season without like actually changing. And Filoni always has one of those at some point. I think in every show someone shows up. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but like, this is a trope that has happened in Star Wars before.
It's really funny. I wasn't going to bring this up in my week, but I dive deep into Jedi Dark Disciple, which is the Quinlan Voss Asajj Ventress book, and it's awful. And Quinlan Voss sucks as a character.
That's so sad.
And he's one of those.
This is the canon.
Yeah, this
Quinlan
is
Voss
like
now.
one of the first. It came out in 2015. It was like one of the first books. And they just do terrible things to Asajj, and it's awful. And Quinlan Voss is such a shithead, and he is like one of like the fan favorites in like Star Wars.
No, for sure. And so
like,
is Asajj.
Yeah, but Asajj is really cool, and they ruined that character. And Quinlan has been nothing but a background character who people like because he has face tattoos.
Right.
And then this whole book he's just awful, and he's mentioned in Obi-Wan Kenobi as like someone who's leading the path. And I'm like, oh my god, if this guy shows up, I swear, he's rancid. And I hope Filoni can fix him in live action.
Yeah.
Grayson. So quick thing.
I'm all pretty sure, just real quick, because Ryan brought it up, like Dark Disciple, I've dreaded getting to it because I'm pretty sure they kill Asajj in that story.
Dude, not only do they kill Asajj, like they ruin her character and everything that she stands for. And like, I almost wish I didn't have this knowledge now. Now, knowing that she's dead and she's just going to stay dead, and like maybe they can do flashback stuff, but the way that they kill her, they're basically like, she dies for Quinlan and to save the Jedi. And she's like, it's just like,
I've heard
awful.
I've heard that pretty much nobody likes what they've done to Asajj, so yeah. I'm pretty disappointed in
really
hoping the fact that like that's the new canon version, but like
they just like,
look, they've retconned stuff that they've said is canon according to the books before. And it literally happens in the Bad Batch, where they show a different version of Kanan Order 666ing
that's right
than is in his own comic book that they released. So
that's true.
They'll go back on something if they come up with an idea that finds more intrinsic to the narrative of Star Wars. So like, whatever. Especially if it's something that's so largely hated as that book is.
She's basically like, I don't want to talk about too much, but it's like a romance book between them, which can be fun. But she basically dies for him, and in doing those saves him from the dark side and saves the entire Jedi, because Quinlan was so essential to the Jedi Order. And it's like all this nonsense. And I'm like, man, remember when it was Asajj? It's just really cool. And she didn't try to dress up for boys.
I remain angry that they killed her off too, because like I'm like, there's so much storytelling potential for you to bring Asajj in at so many different points. I remain a person who wishes we got an Asajj Ventress solo video game, telling a story after Revenge of the Sith. But whatever. Yeah, the Ahsoka novel. Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, do I have a favorite, Grayson, of the Bad Batch between Tech, Echo, Wrecker, and Hunter? It's Echo. It's easily Echo, and the main reason is because Echo is a clone I spent seasons and seasons with before he became part of the Bad Batch. He is, without a doubt, the most developed character on the team. The rest are fine, but like I've had the Bad Batch season and then a few episodes with them in season 7. Echo is a clone who comes from the rigs. And like we follow him for a very long time before he ends up here, and he's 100% the most developed character and the most interesting. It's not even close. Like Wrecker, Hunter, and Tech are all just ideas of like a guy who does that job inside of a team. Echo is a character. I like the guys, but like that's what they are. Just being honest. Let's see. We watched Everything Everywhere All at Once again.
It's true.
That's a great film.
I
It's
was
a great film.
crying so much.
Me too.
It was incredible. Great movie.
And then I'm still casually and leisurely reading my way through the King in Black event. I've read some more issues. I'm really enjoying myself. More will come up at a later date because my next book club will be related to it. Ben, you'll miss it, but like it'll happen.
Thwip.
You'll be doing something more fun, I'm sure. And then the last thing I'll talk about is that last night, Odin died, y'all.
Spoiler alert.
In Ragnarok, as he is meant to. He fell. There are fragments of Asgard everywhere across the realms.
10 of them.
And I'm pretty pleased to have seen it all the way through to that point.
That is a God of War Ragnarok discussion.
That is.
Yes.
Yeah, God of War Ragnarok. I concluded the main chunk of the story. I have a little bit, but it is a very tiny bit, as Ryan has told me, that I just need to finish up. So, yeah, pretty happy with it. I'm looking forward to finally listening to the pause menu about it.
Pause menu.
Yeah, I'll probably share more thoughts one last time on a quarterly.
One last time.
When we get around to it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's my week. I don't think there's anything else of consequence I need to bring up.
Yep. I didn't do much. I'm just still obsessing over Yellow Jackets. That's a show that unfortunately is just coming out once a week, so I'm starving for the buzz. So much so that I listen to a weekly recap show with the Ringerverse. Wow, what a great website. I love that. Love that podcast. Yellow Jackets is super inspired by Lost. And Lost is a show that I never finished. I'd only watched a couple episodes of way back in 2004, which every time I look back at an old show, I'm like, I can't keep doing this myself. I feel old every time I revisit something. But they're like, hey, a lot of Yellow Jackets is like directly inspired by Lost because that show is now technically old enough to be inspirational.
Right.
And y'all, like, that show's incredible. It really is. I'm only like 8 episodes into the first season. There's like 120 episodes. Like, it is 6 full 22 episode seasons. That's a full ass TV show. I hear it has ups and downs, but that first season, J.J. Abrams, Damon Lindelof, Michael Giacchino does the entire score. Larry Fong, the cinematographer for a lot of modern great movies. It's just incredible. It's got all the vibes I want of like mystery, like spirituality, mysticism, like what's real, what's not. A lot of the same vibes from Yellow Jackets, but it is a much more, it is not about cannibals. It is just about people who crash land on an island. How do they survive? The thing that I'm really connecting with and what I love so much about it is the willingness that people are just talking about the situation that is unfolding in front of them, whether it is real or not real. One of the characters is seeing his dead father walk around the island. This other guy who was in a wheelchair can now walk now that he's on the island. These are unexplainable things that these people have to deal with, and they just talk about it. And in one of my favorite scenes that I've seen so far is in episode 5, the Jack and Locke, they come together, and Locke is like, there are things happening on this island that I cannot explain. You cannot explain them. I cannot explain them. We are all experiencing something, but nobody's talking about it. And I'm tired of not talking about it. Something is happening on this island. Because I was in a wheelchair before I got on this island, my guy. And it just, the acting is so good. Like, this is like really the beginning of like prestige TV. Like, you know, like Sopranos in the 90s. Like HBO was doing that stuff in like late 90s. But like this was ABC. And this was like one of the first really big, like super big budget, like really big diverse cast, a really problematic racism in early 2000s. That's just unfortunate. It's an era of its time.
It's this and like the 1-2 punch of this and then Heroes the next
year.
year.
100%. Yeah. Also ABC or something, I believe. Yeah. NBC. There you go. One of the C's. But I'm super enjoying Lost. The character work is so strong. The main cast of Evangeline Lilly, she's incredible, man. And I haven't really seen that much of her work outside of the Ant-Man movies, to be honest. But like, there's a reason she's a huge star, dude. She's incredible.
Sorry, it's just
she's in those movies for sure.
There's a lot of people in those movies.
Why does it hurt so much? Because it was real. The main guy, Jack, Matthew Fox, who was Racer X in Speed Racer, that's a guy who he did not break out into be a huge movie star. And y'all, I'm not joking, like his role as Jack in Lost, it's one of the most powerful and charismatic performances I've seen in an elite actor. Like he plays a doctor who is caring about people, and like just the way he feels so natural. Like this is a beautiful, caring person. It just feels natural. I'm like, oh my God, I understand why this was like the biggest show in the world for like 5 years. It's just like, it's so good. I love it. So it's going to be nice to have, a bunch of Lost, it's sad, they're on an island, but it's like, it's pretty mellow. And then I get one day where it's about cannibalism. And I'm like, yeah, it's Yellow Jackets Wednesday or Thursday. And then, oh, it's back to Lost, family friendly. Oh no, drama. Cannibals. Like, I love it. Great vibes. I just love a really good mystery. Lost. There's a hatch, y'all. There's a polar bear. How did a polar bear get on a tropical island? I'm sure I'll never find out.
The terror.
The terror. Yeah.
Because why not?
Because why not? Because J.J. Abrams loves a mystery box.
Yeah.
Well, I do believe that is it for the week. So why don't we get into the news?
Babs?
The bread.
Once you got it.
The bread and butter, which is right here. Yummy, yummy in my tummy. Before we get to the news of the week, we do have an in memoriam for a couple folks. First, we got Al Jaffe, who was a cartoonist for Mad Magazine. He passed away at the age of 102.
I heard a lot about
Yeah,
this.
I was not familiar with this man's work because I watched Mad TV growing up as a kid, but that is not the magazine. So
Right.
I looked up what he is most famous for, and it is the Mad Magazine fold-in, which was making fun of the Playboy magazine fold-out pin-up things. And it was basically jokes that would fold out in the magazine, basically just like making fun of Playboy. And I thought that was like awesome, and that became really influential when he did that, and then he did that for 50 years. And I think that's just incredible.
Good night, Brandon.
Night, Brandon.
Good night,
Wherever
sir.
you are. All right. Yes. I heard a lot of people talking about like the influence and Mad Magazine, like when it was at its height, what a major and prominent thing it was, and especially for cartoonists. So,
Oh, yeah.
Really incredible touchstone. 102 too. Long life.
Absolutely.
Good job.
And then we got Michael Lerner, who most people, will know as the mayor in the 98 Godzilla. 98?
Yep.
In the 98 Godzilla movie.
Yeah, the one who's playing one of the critics.
Yeah, his name in the movie is Mayor Ebert.
He's also in Days of Future Past.
He's also in Days of Future Past. Look at that. It's funny because he's Mayor Ebert and his sidekick's name is Gene. That is Roland Emmerich making fun of Siskel and Ebert, the movie reviewers who often negatively reviewed his movies. But when reviewing Godzilla, the reviewer said, "Hey, you didn't even kill us off. So good job, man. You didn't even kill us off when you were making fun of us. You missed.
I remember that
opportunity."
Right.
I remember that clip too, because they're like, your movies, we hate your movies, and if you put us in your movies and you don't even kill us, what's the point, man?
Exactly. What is the point? Well,
it's very true. Real quick, Michael Lerner has an incredible litany of films and television shows.
Sure.
He's in 114 films.
Jeez Louise.
Wow.
He's a character actor. If you look at his face, you'll realize you've seen him in a lot of stuff.
100%.
He's a common he might only show up in a scene or two playing a judge, a senator,
a military guy.
Not always a military guy, we just pointed out the mayor and Godzilla, but he's got a very
versatile
here in these appearances. He was in Mirror Mirror, all kinds of appearances.
Yeah.
You've seen him, illustrious career.
Yeah, absolutely.
81's a good age to go out and he was always working.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
114. That's a lot of movies.
That's a lot of movies.
That's a lot of cheddar. All right, moving on. So we talk about a lot of entertainment here in Fake Nerd Podcast. Let's start with comic books because we got a couple comic book news. Mostly this one's for me. I mean, we all like the X-Men here, but I am Mr. caught up on X-Men. The Fall of X is happening in the fall. It's the Fall of X, it makes sense. It coincides. Sins of Sinister is the big event happening right now. So whatever happens at the end of that, which is ending this month, the ramifications will spill out into the Fall of X.
Mm-hmm.
We've already talked about a couple titles, but we have some more revelations about some of these other titles, such as Children of the Vault. Ben, I know you are behind, but did you get to any of the Children of the Vault stuff in Hickman's run? You get that?
I remember when the children went into the vault.
Okay, so you got to that part at least. Okay, so you're
I got to them going inside the vault. I just haven't. My stack is so big. I'm so scared of it right now.
That's okay. That's I got you. I wanted to know if you were familiar.
Because I know I saw it was X-23. I remember her and 4 other X-Men.
It was Sync. It's Sync and yeah.
Ben got all the way up through X of Swords, and I don't know that he went past that.
I was about to get into Hellfire Gala, the first Hellfire Gala, when
Yeah.
I stopped. Because
I was simply asking if the Children of the Vault, they're enemies of the X-Men. They are hyper evolved humans who basically, the Vault is a hyperbolic time chamber from DBZ.
Right.
They spend millions of years evolving evolving themselves to be better versions of themselves. In a way that is almost like evolving humanity in like a mutation kind of way through science. But they don't see it. They don't see it that way.
Sure.
It's totally different.
Right.
Children of the Vault is becoming a 4-issue miniseries written by Dennis Camp with art by Luca Maresca. Dennis Camp recently wrote 20th Century Men, which is like one of the most acclaimed comics of all time. So
definitely a book club later this
definitely
year.
a book club later this year. So that creative team alone gets me excited for this comic. Two of the X-Men's strongest soldiers, Cable and Bishop, must join forces to defeat the greatest threat to mutants' future, the Children of the Vault. I'm very excited for this. A bunch of these are going to be miniseries, which I'm totally fine with. Give me a cool story in and out. The next one we got is Alpha Flight.
Right.
And that is, Ben, you know anything about Alpha Flight? Canada?
What?
You're from Canada. You know that part?
I did not know that part.
They are the Canadian Avengers. That's what you need to know. Alpha Flight.
Okay.
This 5-issue miniseries will be written by Ed Brisson with art by Scott Godlewski. And it is about Canada's premier super team reassembling to navigate the dark times that have befallen mutant kind, with major players on both sides of the war. This is going to have Guardian, Puck, Snowbird, Shaman, Aurora, Northstar, Nemesis, and Fang. I recognize a third of those characters, and that's always exciting because if I don't recognize all those characters, that means I'm going to learn about those characters, and I love learning about new characters.
I can only assume that Puck is a big hockey fan.
No, he's a little man with like super strength.
Ben over here, like, I know a lot about Stephen King, but Shakespeare, that's beyond me.
On my screen, the Puck looks like an F. I'm not going to say that word. The next miniseries we're going to be talking about is Uncanny Spider-Man. Hey, boy, howdy. Y'all remember when I said that Spider-Man was going to become a mutant? Nope. This is about...
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
Ben, who do you think this is about?
Uncanny Spider-Man. What?
Oh, I saw one.
Character?
Oh, no, Nightcrawler.
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, Twitter spoiled that one for me.
Sure. No, okay. Also,
I just wanted to see what you would come up with if you had to guess.
This is definitely one of the weirder ones, but it makes sense with what's happening right now. Uncanny Spider-Man is a 5-issue miniseries written by Cy Spurrier, who's fantastic, and art by Lee Garbett, who's also fantastic. As darkness overwhelms mutant kind, Nightcrawler embraces a new role as the classic New York City hero, who's going to be bamfing around in a spider-esque looking suit.
Bamf flip.
Bam flip. Yeah. This is interesting because if you're not currently in the know of Sins of Sinister, there's a book called Nightcrawlers. And this is in the not alternate universe, the bad universe right now where Mr. Sinister is one, everything is sinister. He has a team of Chimera created Nightcrawlers of a bunch of different heroes, basically as the cops of New York City. And they're all just bamfing around doing dirty work. But they're all slowly gaining consciousness of like, I don't know, what are we doing? Is this actually bad? Maybe getting influenced by Spider-Man.
So like the Thors from
exactly, yeah, 100%. Yeah, like it's his crime force. Like they're able to teleport everywhere. There's like an X-23 version, a Spider-Man version. Like there's a bunch of like Gambit version. That's really cool. Whatever is happening in that book is going to have Nightcrawler realize, I think I want to be Spider-Man. I want to go to New York. That's just a really silly, fun idea, and like the idea of like Errol Flynn swashbuckling esque Nightcrawler wanting to be like, I could be Spider-Man. Why not? It's just like, yeah, okay, sure. And just the idea alone is really silly. So I'm all for it. And it's a miniseries, so it's not like, oh,
this is going to be like a sea change for a long time.
Yeah. Peter Parker died. Like, no, it's a 5-issue miniseries. Like, this is just something that is
a fun little thing,
a fun little Cy Spurrier joint, which I'm thrilled about. And that is it for the X-Men talk until hopefully next week, where we can talk more about X-Men, because that's my dream every day. Woo, guys, we got a new publishing company out for comics. Comics come out every week. So many different companies, so many publishers, but we got a new one.
Do you know about this, Ben?
Did you hear about
not.
Distillery?
It kind of sucks.
Did you hear about Distillery?
Or Dastardly, as I call it.
Dastardly, that's funny.
Oh, well, now that I hear that Sparks is calling it Dastardly, shit must be going bad.
Real quick, Mag, thanks for showing up. You enjoy Coachella. Hell yeah. Thank you for stopping by when you're at Coachella.
I'm sorry. If Mag is at Coachella, Mag, why the hell are you watching us?
Because he's amazing.
Who's on stage right now?
Yes, we are.
because he's a real MVP, Ben. That's why.
He is
He's in
really-
between sets. He's in between sets.
I was about to say
Alright.
he must be in between sets
Ben,
right
do
now.
you see the way distillery is spelled? Because you have the blog up, right? The
Oh, yeah.
DSTLOY.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm just so you know, it's spelled like, oh, it's like, oh, you know, we're punks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like taking out all the vowels out of it. So
Yeah, it's very
Okay.
nice. So Distillery is a new publishing company that wants to give writers and artists a greater stake for their creative efforts.
Well, I mean, so
Writers
far
Brian Azzarello, Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, Ram V, Stephanie Phillips, and the artists Mirka Andolfo, Elsa Charité, Leigh Garbett, Jacques, and Jamie McKelvey have joined the company. They do not have exclusive contracts, Mr. Ben.
All right, so far that sounds pretty good. I mean,
Yes.
getting writers and artists more stake and more cash. That sounds good for so far. I know the butt is coming, but so far so good. Now
I'm with you. I'm with you, man. Because when this was first announced, all the good stuff was up front, and then once we dived into it, it got gross.
So what's the butt?
So let's get to it. So they will produce oversized print comics, which is fine. You know, collectibles, vinyl, figures, posters as well. They will also offer comics digitally, but only for a limited time. Once the sale window closes, the digital copies will be available only in a virtual marketplace for collectors. The
What?
sellers will set the price, and a portion of the resale will go to the creators. Basically, digital scarcity.
I'm sorry. Oh,
a
no.
kind of version of an NFT.
Gout.
Yeah, Ben.
Oh.
Think of it like if they tried to do this with digital games, and like having to resell digital games so that they still get a profit off of the resales. That's the structure of this.
I got more.
Excuse me while I charge up my Mega Buster because I'm going busted.
To 100. David Steinberger, who founded Comixology in 2007, is a founder and chief executive. The first comic being published will be called The Devil's Cut. It'll be a series of standalone stories written by the company's founders, you know, all the guys we mentioned. The thing that's not mentioned in here that the creator, there's a bunch of interviews happening because, you know, they announced the thing they're going to talk about
Like when Substack happened.
Like when Substack happened, yeah, and that everything's great over at Substack.
You didn't get me then either.
Yeah. The thing that really drove me nuts was the digital scarcity thing, and it was, oh, so Scott Snyder wrote this comic, and then he is the person who has the digital version of this comic. Scott Snyder then gives me that digital version, making that copy more expensive. This digital PDF that he gave me, the writer, that means it is more valuable.
Not that there's anything else about it that makes it different.
He digitally signed it and gave it to me. Sure. So now my copy is worth $100 instead of $5 if I want it to be.
If you want to resell it on that same virtual market.
And art is subjective. You can make art whatever you want to spend $1 million on a painting. Sure. Digital. This is the thing about, again, digital art's just like
digital scarcity.
Scarcity is not real. The second that somebody gets a hold of that PDF, they will mass produce it. It'll be on free. Read comics online the next day.
That's the worst thing about this. To me, is that this only encourages piracy.
100%.
In the comic, in the comic market, I'm like, if this is the retort of like, we want to get more people buying comics so that the industry is thriving and so that these writers should be paid more for their work anyway, just by the industry itself. This is the wrong direction to head it because you're just encouraging people to pirate.
The only way I could see that this company can course correct is if they just offer the digital comics at a much cheaper and discounted price. That's the opposite of what they're doing. They're literally saying, no, that's the thing. All right. Because everything up to the whole digital bit, like having physical media, cool. Having print books, awesome.
That's just a publisher.
That's just a publisher. But then they're like, oh no, digital scarcity, that is complete and utter bullshit.
It's just it's the gross aspect, yeah.
I mean, I get try to make as much money off the physical stuff, but if people just want to read comics, just offer the comics digitally at a much cheaper price. But no, this whole digital scarcity thing, as Spark said, is gonna encourage piracy so goddamn hard. People are gonna go on that site and go, yo ho, a pirate's life for me, like all day and every day.
And I don't understand why you'd want to do this. Like, it's not. I guess it's like the thing of doing like limited run games. You know, we do like an X number of physical copies, but like it's digital. Yeah. It's not the same. They're not doing that with physical.
The thing about for the writers, just like with Substack, it feels like this is still just a reaction of they don't feel like they're being paid what they're worth.
Yeah,
and they're probably right.
It's true.
I'm sure that's true. 100%. But these are not because this and Substack are both things where it's like we're trying to put more money in the pocket of the writers specifically, and I'm like, I get that, and I'm all for it. But like both versions, and this one and the other, have been things where I'm like, this is not good to the consumer. This is not kind to the person who wants to support these writers. And the digital scarcity thing. The other thing that's really gross about it is that like, let alone like the digital resale market, the fact that like they always get a benefit from it. I'm like, that's weird. That's weird. So like a part of reselling it goes back to them, not to you.
Oh God, I hate this so much.
And it bums me out because like all those people I named are like good creatives. And like Rom V is like, I think like the most talented, like him and Al Ewing are like the most talented comic creators alive today.
This is the same way I felt when they said all the Substack stuff. I'm like, I like a lot of these people, but I'm not going to pay $5 a month for every single one of these writers I love. And
it's the unfortunate thing, because like when I look at wanting to support a creative, like Patreon is like the model. Like I support a lot of people. I give a couple bucks to so many people, and they give me so much stuff. And like so many other companies want to just do what Patreon is doing, but because Patreon is very much like a solo, like you're supporting a single person, like so many other companies want to do that on a grander scale. And I'm just like, I don't know if you like. I just don't know if you can have 40 different Patreons, because there's Substack, and there's like Coffee, and there's like so many of these like these things to give people money. And I'm like, I just want to read a comic. I mean, I just want to read a comic.
Right. I mean, not only that, the whole NFT bit, the NFT thing is dying or dead.
Yeah,
it's been on its last legs for months, if not half a year already. The NFT hype train is gone.
It
like
feels
even at there's what was it, like Mag East or PAX, there was like this big gaming convention that happened a few weeks ago, and someone was like circulating this picture around Twitter about from last year, where a bunch of video game companies were part of this big video game blockchain thing. And then the photo from this year, it's reduced to over like more than half of those names previous are gone.
Yeah.
No one cares. No one cares. No one's buying into it. The only people who do are already invested a whole bunch of their money into it. This whole digital scarcity thing is complete utter bullshit. And it's been proven time and time and time again that the second you say NFT, only a very small portion of the people who are into crypto will jump at the chance. But those whales are very few and far between.
And the thing is, like, this technically isn't an NFT, but it might like it is the same thing. It is a digital piece of art that only technically you own. Which, again, like, it's so easy to pirate.
Every time they say digital scarcity, oh, it's digital, but it's scarcity. It's like, no, it's called right-click paste, or right-click save. Like,
at the end of the day, like, they're not just doing digital comics; they're doing print comics. Like, hey, I want to read every comic that Ram V puts out.
Sure.
If I can just buy the trade in a year, like there are a lot of Substack comics that are now coming out that are like, I can just buy that because it's being published through Image or whatever, and like. I'm just like ignoring this. I'm just like, cool. Can you guys give me a comic that I can physically read? I'm there for it.
But in general, like, even just like talking about the business practice of it, let's say that they weren't doing the digital, and like this was the policy on the print, where it's like, yeah, we're only selling,
100,
200 copies of Ram V's next book. And that'd be like, wow, that's really awful.
Yeah.
That's really, really shitty.
Yeah.
That's not enough for everyone. And like, if they could enforce some way for resale market, but they couldn't.
Yeah.
But like if they could, and that they would try, and like it's like, this is not a good way to conduct business with people who like comics.
I agree. Yeah. It's just, and it feels just like a bad trend that like business people cooked up, and they were able to pay comic people enough to get them in. And I'm like,
the other thing about this, like, sorry, just real quick, like the other thing about this in Substack, I'll give a little more leniency, because I do feel like there was a clear intention on some level to be like a more direct path between a writer really valuing something in their own work and wanting to share it, and being like, you pay the same amount for a single issue of something I write for one of the big companies. Will you pay $5 a month for? I get it. I do get it. I get
Hickman is doing so much on Substack for cheap. Like, he is one of the best examples of like how you do that, because that dude is literally like creating universes, showing every document, every script, giving you a comic book. But
unfortunately, aside from that, Substack has its own issues that make me not want to support it at all.
Absolutely.
But like, I understand the impetus of that, But both of these are not good new industry structures to create new comic readers. They're just not.
Mhm.
And like that should be priority number one, is to get more people going and buying print comics. That's it. This is not encouraging it.
And the thing that I don't like speculation collectors markets where people go to a comic shop and buy all the number ones so they can resell them. And like that's what's going to happen here. It's like digitally, like, oh, these people are going to buy all these and they're going to sell them for $100 because they have the one copy.
You got to think that they got to put a limit on the amount you can purchase. Like one digital purchase per. Yeah. Now, granted, like there you can make like separate emails and everything, but like they at least have to put that bare minimum loophole. You cannot just like get on and buy 5 digital copies.
Yeah.
Why would you need that? Why would you need that?
To sell
especially if you're structuring a resale market. Absolutely. You know that's bullshit.
Yeah. I hope that the bad word of mouth around this can fix some of the stuff, but I doubt it. This seems like, it seems like venture capitalists trying some shitty shit that'll die. It'll probably just die off. Who knows?
I hope
so. Who knows? I want to believe, because again, like Scott Snyder, Ramsey, Stephanie Phillips, like that bums me out. Those are all great people.
Yeah.
Speaking of great people, let's talk about some casting news. Over at the Detective Comics at DC Comics, we got some Creature Commando news. That cartoon that is also gonna be some live action stuff. So we know who these characters are now. We got Frank Grillo. That dude's been talking for a few weeks how he's joining the DCU. He's not playing Batman. He is playing Rick Flag Sr. And that is Rick Flag Jr.'s father. He's playing Joel Kinnaman's dad from the Suicide Squad movies. That's great. Frank Grillo's a cool guy. We got Maria Bakalova. She is appearing in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. She was in Borat 2. She's a great up-and-coming actress. She's playing Ilana Rostovic. I'm not sure who that character is. It's been a while. We got Adira Varma, who's playing the Bride of Frankenstein. We all know her. She was in Game of Thrones. She was the mother of the Sand Snakes. She was also in Obi-Wan Kenobi as the cool lady that flirted with Obi-Wan. She's great.
She was.
We got Zoe Chow as Nina Mazursky. Nina. I believe she might be the fish lady. Alan Tudyk. Of course, we got Alan Tudyk. He shows up in everything comic book related. As Dr. Phosphorus. That's great. Dr. Phosphorus is awesome. We got David Harbour. Look at him jumping shit. Love him. He's playing Eric Frankenstein. Ben. Look at that, Mr. Frankenstein stuff. That's great casting. He would be a great Frankenstein.
I was gonna say like specifically because they're not together here, but Indira Varma and David Harbour together I want to see so bad.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think that's gonna be fun.
And last but not least, we got Sean Gunn returning as Weasel, but also G.I. Robot. Look at that, good, pulling double duty. I love it. So this is like the first thing we're probably gonna see in this new lineup. Obviously not Blue Beetle because that was a thing from the previous era. But this will be an animated thing, and we'll see when. Did it say was this 2025? 2024?
Yeah, it's gonna be 2025.
2020. Damn,
we're not gonna see anything till it might be 2024, but like I think they were saying like 2025 to play it safe.
Yeah.
Like I think we're gonna have a dead year in DC media next year.
While
they get everything ready.
True. All right.
This is a great cast.
Yeah,
this is a great cast for animation. This is a great cast for live action.
Yeah, I'm like imagining all these people live action. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be awesome. That's great casting. Continuing with great casting and good news, let's talk about Deadpool 3. There were reports that Marina Baccarin was not going to come back potentially because they were having some money disputes. Well, it is happy to report through Deadline that both Marina Baccarin and Stefan Kapicic, who played Colossus, Peter Rasputin, will return as Vanessa and Colossus in Deadpool 3. That's fantastic. You need, I think, I don't necessarily know if you need Colossus, but I'm happy. I am 100% happy. I do love that character.
I feel a lot of fun.
I kind of want to argue you do need Colossus in a Deadpool movie just because he's the moral compass of Deadpool in a way.
That's
like
true.
Go back to the first 2 Deadpool films. He's always like, let's do something good. Like even in the second movie where he swears, he's like, haha, see you in hell.
Now we just need Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Oh, hell yeah.
You get that
and Yukio.
You get them back. Like, hi Wade,
hi Yukio.
we need her. We need Yukio. I will be very upset if neither of them show up. But
look, if they I'm already pleased that we're getting what we're getting. Like, if we're really getting Marina Baccarin and Stefan Kapicic back for Colossus and Vanessa, then we're doing great. We're doing awesome.
Also, it would just be really fun. I know they're not going to do it, but in the comics, Vanessa is a character called like Copycat, and she's like a spy who's almost like a Mystique when she can like transform into people. So like you don't have to do that, but like give her a little something to do.
Give her something.
Give her a little something to do, and just being the cool girlfriend. Speaking of cool ladies, yo, we got some Blade casting news. And y'all, when I saw this, I popped off.
This one's for the sickos.
This one's for the sickos because Mia Goth from X and Pearl,
Infinity Pool,
the Brandon Cronenberg movie. She is a scream queen, indie darling. She's incredible. If she's playing like an evil vampire lady, this movie is going to be awesome. She elevates everything that she's in. She's fantastic. So like Blade, you're on my good book right now. You gotta do a quick Googs, Ben.
I'm about to look her up. Yeah.
I don't know if you see. You might not have seen anything that she's been in. She's kind of
definitely. We've watched trailers with her, but
she's married to Shia LaBeouf.
Yes, she's with Shia LaBeouf.
Huh, good for her. Yeah,
I guess.
I haven't seen any of these movies, but hey,
well, Ben, trust us. This is good news.
Yeah,
I do. I trust you guys.
Speaking of maybe not trusting things, let's talk about Lilo and Stitch. I'm just kidding. Lilo and Stitch has some casting. We got Billy Magnuson, who is in Game Night. He's in Aladdin. I'm sure he's in a bunch of other things that I haven't seen, but he's great. I think he's really funny. I don't know who he's been cast as. Maybe it was announced, but it's not on the news right here.
I really hope he's not playing the boyfriend.
David?
No,
that's not his name.
David.
Oh yeah.
And then we got Nani cast, and that's Sydney Agudong. And that's great. I'm gonna say this because I saw a bunch of people talking about it. Miss Sydney, she is light skinned, and Nani is darker skinned in the movie. And I've seen a lot of people saying, she might be, Hawaiian, but like that is still important. Having dark skin representation.
Colorism.
It is colorism. Thank you. Colorism is what I was looking for.
Well, the most prominent thing about it is like when you translate like Nani to live action, this is definitely like a very light skinned Nani comparatively, and like that's part of it.
Yeah,
for sure. This is also like just this happening way too much with like Hawaiian history and Pacific Islanders and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people are talking about it, as they rightly should. People who are, this is directly affecting. It's a lot like when we talked about what was going on with the America Chavez casting. I really like her, but nonetheless, like she's not necessarily representative of the character as she appears in the comics in terms of skin color, nor is she Puerto Rican and representing Puerto Ricans. And so like there's all these kinds of aspects to that. But the most important one to me is that nothing personal against who's been cast, but this Sydney Agudong doesn't look the same skin color as the girl they cast for Lilo, who actually looks much closer to Lilo.
Yeah.
And that's the really bonkers thing is like, why didn't we get a little closer here?
Yeah. It is just one of those unfortunate things. Yeah. I'm still hopeful for Lilo.
Yeah, hopeful for the film, but like, it is a bummer. I think that a lot of people are going to be like, "This does not look like Nani."
Nani.
And like the skin color matters. Just does.
It's true. Moving on, let's talk about Radio Silence. Radio Silence is a team behind Ready or Not and the two most recent Scream movies. We all love them here. They're fantastic creators, producers, writers, directors. They're developing a mysterious Universal monster movie.
Great.
Ooh.
Very
and
happy.
Melissa Barrera, Sam from Scream movies, the main star, has already been cast because they're homies. Let's look at the movies. We've gotten plenty of Dracs. We got plenty of Draculas, right?
This is the Bride of Frankenstein.
It's either the Bride of Frankenstein or I'm saying it's a Gilman. It's a Gilman. We need some Creature from the Black Lagoon love. I haven't seen a Gilman since
Shape of Water.
Maybe. I guess that counts.
Del Toro said that was basically started as a Creature from the Black Lagoon.
No, I get it.
They changed. Like, that's a Gilman.
But I want to bang that fish man. I want to be afraid of a fish man. I don't want to. I don't want to be emotionally invested.
Okay, so Cabin in the Woods.
Yes. Blah, blah, blah. That was like 10 years ago. Hell yeah. I think this is great. Whatever it is, this team has made 3 excellent movies. If she, Melissa Burr would be a great bride.
It's the fact that she's cast already that makes me think like
they had it.
Very likely the bride.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm totally into it.
I'm biased because of my character in Dean Dark, but I want Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I mean, Bride of Frankenstein is an incredible character. Like just appearance wise and like her icon level, that is not an explored character. Like she's, I don't know if you've seen that movie, Ben.
She's not in it a lot.
She's only in the last like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And she doesn't do a lot. She's in basically a single scene.
Dude, I can't tell you how much I love I'm so glad
And
we
it's
watched.
an incredible film.
Yeah, we watched them like, I don't know if we watched them back to back, but we watched them very close to each other years ago.
Back to back.
And like Frankenstein and The Bride of Frankenstein are like completely different movies. The second movie is so goofy. It's about science and shrinking people. It's like a comedy. It's like a goofy comedy sometimes. It's awesome.
Much more of Young Frankenstein, which you're not going to get, I realize, as I'm saying it.
Yeah.
But much more of Young Frankenstein is taken from Bride of Frankenstein than Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff.
But Bride of Frankenstein is an incredible film. They introduced an iconic female character who is not utilized and underexplored.
Yeah.
And it's about time they had a movie that was about her.
Well, damn, now I really hope it's Bride of Frankenstein now.
It's about damn time.
This is why I was really excited when back when the Universal Monster idea, the shared universe thing was really popping off, and they were talking about that Frankenstein film with
Javier Bardem
and Angelina Jolie, and I was like, oh man, that's really cool.
Is a spicy,
that would be
Frank
very
and Bride.
spicy.
I am sad we didn't get that movie.
That would be a very spicy couple, absolutely. Speaking of spice, let's turn over to animation. See if you guys find the spicy or not. Let's talk about Stranger Things. An animated spin-off is in the works at Netflix. And what's funny about this is it's similar to the Saturday morning cartoons that we grew up loving.
Who's we?
I'm not sure who
that
that
is. A different generation. What did we grow up?
I have words about this, but let's finish the news up and then I'll say my words. Are we talking
G.I. Joe or are we talking Fairly Odd Parents?
Yeah,
what generation is this?
The range here. Flying Bark Productions is developing the series, and they developed the newest Rise of the TMNT series, which looks great.
That show
animation is insane. 100%.
The fight scene that's been shared around with the Turtles fighting Shredder and Casey Jones.
Yeah.
Or just fighting Shredder is phenomenal.
So
I'm gonna dive on that show at some point.
Yeah. So if I had to take a guess, like if I think of something like Rise of the TMNT, like like really like vibrant and kinetic, like really action packed, lots of movement, like I don't know, like Stranger Things though, it's a bunch of kids just like talking and walking.
Yeah. So here when I first read that, while I was glancing through the news before we started recording today, my thought was, wow, I guess I really hate it when people try to use that phrase for nostalgia purposes. Because like you guys said earlier, which Saturday morning cartoons we talking about? We talking 80s or 90s? Because those are very different types of cartoons.
Or the Dungeons and Dragons,
or today,
the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, or like Dexter. Like what are we talking about?
Are we talking Tom and Jerry?
Yeah.
Yes, because they're like, obviously when we say Saturday morning cartoons, every single generation has their own version of Saturday morning cartoons. Like our generation, millennials and 90s kids, we grew up watching Fox Kids, Kids WB, ABC One Saturday morning. So many different types of shows. And even then, a lot of the reasons why I was watching those childhood blocks was not for the American cartoons, it was for the anime that got dubbed over.
Right.
If I had to take a guess,
it's the 80s.
It's the 80s because Stranger Things is 80s inspired.
Yeah,
so
probably.
Something kind of like,
it's going to be like it's why it's this team is like it's modernizing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's modernizing that era.
Maybe more like aloof and goofy, not so much like hard, like kind of like like modern action hardcore, more like goofy.
Yeah, and is it true we don't have Saturday morning cartoons anymore?
I'm sure we have cartoons that come out Saturday mornings, but like that era of like the block of Saturday morning, I don't think that exists the way it used to.
Yeah, that was what I was talking about, because waking up to watch Fox Kids, Kids WB, that was a ritual in my house. New season of Digimon, you bet your ass I was up at 9 a.m. ready to watch it. Pokemon, the same thing. We would watch Batman Beyond and be caught up on Batman Beyond just to get ready to watch Pokemon at 8 o'clock in the morning.
The last time I checked, and it's been a while, Cartoon Network would use Saturday and Sunday mornings to play classic cartoons. So like until 9 or 10 a.m., you're getting Looney Tunes, but you're also getting like Courage the Cowardly Dog, Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab.
A stupid dog. Made me look bad.
Okay, but when I say Saturday morning cartoons, I was thinking about the ones we grew up with, unfortunately.
Cubics, the Rubik's Cube one. Remember that one? Rubik's Cube one? Cubics, you don't remember this?
No.
Sorry. It was on Fox? It was a Fox show. It was about a Rubik's Cube robot man. Look it up. Ben, Google it. Google it, Rubik's. Moving on to things that are cubics that are real, that shouldn't be. Let's talk about Squid Game. We all watched.
Just real quick before we moved on.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know if I need a Stranger Things anything.
Not at all. No,
Like,
I should have said at the beginning.
I don't know if I want anything
don't-
besides season 5.
I do not need this whatsoever. Is it true?
Oh
Ben?
shit, that is real.
Yeah, I sometimes I'm not lying.
Then
He's a Rubik's Cube robot man.
he looks like
you've got me for one more season of Stranger Things,
And that's
then I
it.
don't really know if I want anything else right now. Because I'll be honest, like I'm not 100% thrilled with like the lore stuff that we're heading for. That makes me want to see like other projects that could be tangential related.
If it's just what Stranger Things is doing, but in animated form, I want nothing to do with it. You'd have to do something completely different, like make it.
But that's the thing is like season 4 made me afraid that like there is nothing beyond the story that's happening here because of the lore of the like why is the world the way it is?
Well, hopefully
The upside down.
Yeah, hopefully they'll figure that out by season 5, and they'll give us something cool to chew on. Speaking of chewing on things, you still chewing on cubics over there, Ben?
Yeah, just okay. No,
It's
it's
true.
just well, obviously it's true, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't remember that cartoon at all, and
excuse me.
Yeah,
interesting.
Anyway, speaking of Rubik's cubes, that's the type of game. Squid Game. We all watched Squid Game, right? Did all of us watch Squid Game?
No.
Oh,
damn it, Ben.
Did you watch Squid Game?
I did.
Okay, damn good show. I would say one of Netflix's best shows, like truly.
Great show.
It's so good.
You should go watch it.
You should watch it before it gets an American remake, which is
How about
happening. on
no?
Netflix.
How about
God,
no?
This is incredible.
Mr. Beast already did it.
He did. He also cured blindness. Good for that guy.
Sure.
This is one of the dumbest remakes, that's fine. That is literally a brand new show, one of Netflix's most popular, and the only reason they're remaking it is because Americans are too stupid to read subtitles.
I love them sharing around. It's Bong Joon-ho, right?
Yeah.
Where he's talking at winning Parasite, and he's like, if Western audiences could just learn to read that 1 inch of writing at the bottom of the screen,
world
the
would
world would
expanded.
open up to them on
Absolutely.
media.
Yeah.
Squid Game. Just go watch Squid, and there's a dub. Like I don't recommend
It's not
it,
great,
but it's there.
It's there. Yeah. The thing about Squid Game is like it doesn't need to be. Sometimes you remake something and you translate it differently to suit a different culture, right? Squid Game is about like capitalism. Like there's nothing. Remaking it in America changes nothing except that it's about white people instead of Asian people. That's the only thing that it's the same. There's nothing going to be different about the show. Like it doesn't need to change to be Americanized. It already is. Koreans deal with the exact same. There is no country maybe in the world that is more like America than South Korea right now, with how their entertainment works, how their government, how everything works. Like it is very westernized at this point.
Right.
So this is just stupid. I really hate this.
No, I hate this so much. I mean, when I saw Parasite, I watched it with the subtitles on. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to watch this movie dubbed. Parasite was freaking amazing. Even now,
remember when a guy crawls out of the basement in the dark?
Yeah, terrifying. But also, there's this new drama that came out of South Korea that's on Netflix right now. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's about a girl or a woman who is seeking revenge on her high school bullies. And I can't remember what it's called, but I've come home and watched a few scenes because Fanny, my fiance, she's watching it. It's amazing. The clips I've been watching, it's like I want to see what happens, and it's brutal. I mean, when I say it's brutal, it's not brutal in what she does to her victims. It's brutal of what her bullies did to her.
Yeah.
And it's nuts. And I'm watching with subtitles, or she's watching with subtitles on. I'm like, this is awesome.
Could you imagine if like that was dubbed over with like some guy like, "Hey, get out of there"?
So the other thing about it is that Squid Game is based around childhood games that they play.
That's true.
And like they'll have to be creative and change all but one of those games.
Yeah.
Because only one of them is one we've actually American
Red Light, Green Light,
which is Red Light, Green Light. But the rest of them, those are not American games.
Play Monopoly.
You can't make an American version and have the Americans playing those games. They now have to come up with new games for them to be playing. There's going to require an amount of creativity that they're going to have to apply to it. I don't have any faith they'll be able to do.
That's like Foursquare.
Isn't Tug of War an American game? Because I remember playing Tug of War on the playground.
There are some, there's a jumping puzzle, but there are some that are specific to like Korean culture, which they will have to retranslate into something else.
Right.
That I hope I do agree. I don't
I
think
genuinely forgot about the tug of war section. But
no, yeah. I do agree. I don't think they'll be creative enough. I think they just want to make a bunch of money because the creative bankruptcy exists.
I hate this news. I hate it so much. You don't need an American Squid Game. You just have the great one that's already coming out of Korea.
Watch on Mr. Beast video. It is actually really well made, and it's you don't have to watch the whole season of a show that already exists.
And don't watch the live action one that Netflix made where they put people through hell.
Oh yeah, I already forgot that existed. Good.
Wait, are we talking about Physical 100?
No, I'm talking about there is an actual literal Squid Game that Netflix decided to make a reality show out of
after Mr. Beast made his.
After Mr. Beast made his, and that still hasn't released yet. But we have heard from some of the people who participated, and it sounds like it was hell on earth for them.
Yeah.
Never mind.
The squid of all of its ink.
It's so like devoid of self-awareness of the property that why the property is popular.
Yeah, it is really funny.
Because the show I mentioned, because there was another Korean reality show that was released on Netflix called Physical 100, but it's a reality show that's kind of like Squid Game where people get eliminated, but it's like 100 very fit and strong people, and the whole point is like who is like the fittest out of everyone, and you go through different like extraneous physical challenges. But of course, once you get like eliminated, the only punishment is you break down because they do everyone's bust in plaster. They make a plaster cast of your bust, and after you get eliminated, you smash it.
So we've only heard words from contestants who are part of like the first section of the game, which was red light, green light, Ben, for this live action Squid Game. But basically what they talk about is the fact that like clearly it was rigged for certain people to win. Like the people are saying like, well, we never really had a chance because we didn't move and other people moved and they weren't eliminated. And I slightly like shifted and I was eliminated. Like they were just looking for the moment to take me out while other people got away scot-free. So whoever's going to win that game, it was rigged.
So like a bad
because there's
reality
supposed to be
show.
an amount of money for them to win.
Yeah.
And like, it's clearly a setup and they clearly have chosen who they want to get through to what rounds.
That sucks.
And like, those people were eliminated on the first day. And so they got there on this awful plane ride. They had to get up early in the morning. They had to go do this shoot. And then while they were finishing the thing after they were eliminated, they had to wait around for like 14 hours for them to tell them anything about what was going on next. And they were given like Fire Island level amount of food.
Ritz crackers. Anyway.
No, it's a shit show. And Netflix has denied that it was this bad. But like when enough people say the same thing, you're like, no, it was like that.
Well, we'll always have that original season. Great stuff. Let's move on to Amazon. Amazon is discussing potential new shows and movies for a few of their newly acquired MGM Roar properties. Some of those would be Stargate, RoboCop, Barbershop, and Legally Blonde. That's so funny because a Legally Blonde movie was supposed to come out like literally next month. I mean, there's a done Legally Blonde movie.
There's a Legally Blonde 3.
There's one ready in the can. The trailers was supposed to come out a while ago, but this stuff, I guess, stopped that. Hey, Stargate's cool. I love RoboCop. Barbershop is cool. Sure.
The only one I'm personally invested in is like a return to Stargate.
Yeah. Like a real big one, not like
a real return.
The last one was like a digital like web online only.
Yeah, that's not what I mean.
No, yeah. Well, let's hope for the best. I love RoboCop. There's a new game that's coming out. It looks awful. Moving on to HBO Max. Ooh, excuse me. Just Max. HBO Max is dead. Long live Max. And it will launch with 3 new tiers, guys. First of all, this is stupid. Power to the Max. Oh, do you see like the logo? It's called Max, where you go to watch HBO. It's like the dumbest. It's awful. Anyway, it's gonna launch with 3 tiers, 3 awful tiers. One with ads for $9.99, one that's ad free but with minimal ads for $15.99, and then ultimate ad free for $19.99.
No. So the $15.99 is also ad free.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
The difference is that the $15.99 one is essentially what HBO Max is right now. It's the same price point.
Got it.
And it is what it is right now. It's ad free. However, you now no longer get 4K. The ultimate ad-free, which is the $19.99 tier, that's how you get 4K. That's the difference. That's how you get your 4K version of things.
$20
is a price increase. But here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. I actually don't hate this.
Yeah.
And here's why. $15.99 is what HBO Max already is currently.
Okay, fair.
This is not a price increase. If you are getting HBO Max, it's $15.99.
You're losing 4K, though.
That's it. You are losing 4K, and that does suck for people. However, for people who don't have the means to play 4K in a way where it would don't have the televisions that would run it or anything, this is a benefit for them.
Yeah.
This is in the sense that like, well, we don't have to pay extra for that in a sense. Now, 4K was embedded in the $15.99 version before, so like it wasn't really a negative for them either. So it is kind of shitty in that extent. But like, if you don't absolutely need to watch things in 4K,
nothing's changing.
You're fine.
Yeah,
you don't have to go up to the $20 version. And now there is a $10 ad with ads option, which HBO Max never had before. Now I don't think it should have, but here we are, and it will have one, and that's whatever.
It's just
the important thing is that like the base thing is staying the same.
Yeah,
the base price is the same.
It just bums me out that like HBO has been like this like the premier place for television for like 30 years, and like now it's just like every other.
No, for sure. Like there was something special about the fact that like HBO Max had a high buy-in price, but like it was quality entertainment, and like
premier.
no matter what you were watching, including any movie that's available on HBO in general, like everything that's on HBO is on HBO Max. So when a movie has just left theaters and it's on HBO for like those few, like that next year or whatever, that's on HBO Max, right? So you can watch it there. Now you'll have to watch it with ads if you're not paying for the ad-free version. Yeah. That's shitty. But if you were already buying it, you were already paying for the ad-free version, nothing changes.
Yeah. Max.
Yeah, the change is dumb.
Don't call it Max if you keep getting rid of your own content. Because that's not Max. That's less than Max.
It's true.
It's min.
It's very mid. 100%.
No, min. Like minimum.
Oh, yeah, it is min. It's like, hey, you remember that really great show that people quote that was made by the same guy who made Regular Show? Not there anymore. Gone. Min.
I love
hey, what about that really cool what about that nice Seth Rogen movie that was actually pretty wholesome about this guy who...
Okay. Real quick, it's not in this section of the news, but I will talk about it. The TCM Film Festival started this week. Zaslav was there on stage with Steven Spielberg, and he was talking about the importance of film preservation, which the whole internet was having such a laugh over of him being the person talking about it. But the thing is, like, he's there because Turner Classic Movies, that's under the Warner umbrella. Mm-hmm. So, like, anyway, he's there talking about the importance of film preservation and what they want to do to keep preserving films. And I'm like, this is laughable that this dude actually showed up and did this. Like, what a Chapek move. Anyway, the other thing about it is that he also like talked about with this Max announcement, we're going to be putting a primary focus that didn't exist before. Bullshit. Didn't exist before on like cartoon and animated family content. And I'm like, dude, this already existed. You just strip mined it. Like, what are you talking about? You're so up your own ass.
It's true. We strip mined hell. Speaking of strip mining a franchise to hell, let's talk more about Game of Thrones prequels, y'all. As if canceling like the 6 other ones that were in production wasn't enough, we got a new one. A prequel series called A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. The Hedge Knight is in the works. The show is based on the series of fantasy novellas by George Railroad Martin himself, which follows the adventures of Sir Duncan the Tall, Dunk, and a young Aegon V Targaryen, Egg, 90 years prior to the events of A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, let's recollect real quick. There's that old man at the wall, and he's like, Egg, I'm blind, Egg. You remember that guy? You remember that guy, Ben? Who's that guy? How's he related to these guys?
Let's see.
Aegon? Was he Aegon? Is that this guy?
He was Aemon Targaryen.
Aemon. Okay, it's not him then. Was that his brother?
Yes.
Okay, so he will be.
Or is it different Aegon? Because there's a bunch of freaking Aegons.
But this is 90 years prior, and we know that guy is like around that age. So his brother, he's the brother of Egg. So he'll show up 90 years. He's like 140 in that show.
Yeah, it's right before this sounds like it's going to happen sometime before Robert's Rebellion. Yeah.
Cool. I didn't include here. I wish I did, but there's an interview with Railroad Martin, and he was like, I gotta be honest. This HBO's got to make me mad because like so many shows are in production, not production. It's like I just want to write. I just want to write and make things like. I'm glad something's finally getting made because like 3 prequels have been canceled since I started after Game of Thrones, and I'm just like, I just want things to come out, and I'm like, all right, man, write that book. Moving on to The Conjuring. The Conjuring is apparently coming back with a series based on the franchises in the works. That's all I got.
That's all there is.
That's all there is.
We know that Saffron, who is like the shepherd,
Peter.
Shepherd overseer of the Conjuring franchise, is still overseeing this as well.
Mm-hmm.
they're talking to James Wan about him being a producer on it, but like nothing is official on that. And all we know is that it's going to pick up on the stories that we've seen in the movies, but there's no context for that. We have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit like, if it's not following the Warrens, I don't care. If you want to do a long form season mystery thing with the Warrens, I'm a little more interested.
What if? No, they won't do that. I'll say, what if they do like a young version with like younger actors? But like, I don't know if we need to do that. That's the only thing I can think of. Because like, if you're not going to follow the Warrens, are we just going to do like a bunch of interconnected stories about all the random shit?
Like Ed and Lorraine at the beginning of
when they're like 22, their first
yeah,
love. Yeah. I can see that working.
I can see it's working too. I think it's a tall order to replace those two actors, only because like I think
get her sister.
They're the thing that's good about the. That's true. Like, she's great. She's also already in different.
No, I know.
Films.
Yeah.
Like, and I think she's back for them too, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
I think it's a tall order to replace those two because they are a big part of why people enjoy those films.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of the first two is high, but like Conjuring 3, you know, it gets by on your attachment to those characters. Annabelle Comes Home is extra enjoyable because of those performers. So like, it depends. Hard.
It's going to depend on who like the showrunner and the team is. Like if it's just like, oh, James Wan's executive producing, like I won't have as much faith if like he's not directly involved somehow.
For sure.
Like I know David Sandberg is done with superhero movies. If he wants to come and try more horror shit, like he made the best Annabelle movie. Like if he wants to come in, to come and try to do a TV
if you tell
show,
me like David Sandberg is going to do a season of The Conjuring, and if The Conjuring's like each season is its own case, so it's not like like we're just focusing on doing the season, and that's the story, and that's it. And then like maybe another season comes out down the road, but like it's just this season, it's just this story about this case.
Yeah, it's like not what the MCU does and turns movies into TV shows, but like it will be a serialized version of one of the movies. It's like a longer version of one of the movies.
I'm picturing something like the Exorcist show that Fox had, which was very good, and the 2 seasons, and they're both separate cases, and I think they're really good. And if you did something like that with Conjuring, I can see where it can be very successful. I'm just a little out on the franchise if you don't have those two in it. I don't know what's bringing me back.
If the creative team behind
if it's like an Annabelle
yeah
thing instead, but why would you call it The Conjuring? Like you'd be calling it Annabelle.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if it's gonna be like The Conjuring : this is the thing that it's called.
Yeah, but like if it's The Conjuring, it's like if it is The Conjuring, not just The Conjuring universe, The Conjuring, it has to have the Warrens in it. So I'm really hoping that that's what it. And honestly, I'm fine with that. If we're not going to do another movie with them, you want to bring a good story to a season of television with them, fine.
That can even allow
you can pay for them. Like fine, do
you can
it.
allow for also like have like multiple like mini movies within the whole season.
Yeah,
of like that does. It could be done here, but again, like I need like a Juan. I need like a Juan or somebody. Speaking of things that I absolutely want.
Sorry,
nothing.
Ben, do you have any thoughts on the Conjuring show? Yeah, okay. You'll watch it no matter what. You love that franchise.
It's true.
Ben's wholly in.
Speaking of things that I'm not wholly in, let's talk about Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, we talked about last week, and our worst fears have come to realization.
Yeah. A new series is in the works at Max. Each season of Harry Potter will adapt one book, described as a decade-long adaptation with obviously an all-new cast. J.K. Rowling is not going to be the showrunner, but she will be involved in some capacity because she still owns the rights.
So I did realize something after we talked about it last week, which is that putting Rowling aside, the part where they would really have it, I think, is if this was animated. Which is the same thing I said about Percy Jackson. That like I'm excited about that live action series.
Yeah.
You are going to hear me rave and be stoked about that live action series. I wish it was animated. There's so much great storytelling in those books that you cannot possibly do in the time span of being able to film those kids. You just can't. And animation allows that. And I realized as I was thinking about this that they're talking like doing this over 10 years, like with these kids.
Man.
That's going to be so hard with child labor laws to record this show.
Yep.
And like, that's so nuts.
It's hard enough making a movie that's 2 hours long. Making a 10-hour TV show with children where they can only work like 4 to 6 hours a day. when most TV shows work like 12 to 16 hours, like illegally, but they still do it because they love the craft. There's no way they can do this in 10 years. There's no way. There's no way if they want to do it.
Not if it's quality.
Not if it's quality, for sure. We're talking about Andor filming for 18 months type of shit here, man.
Yeah, like I like, again, we're putting aside the Rowling stuff, like,
Yeah.
which is obviously like, I don't give a shit about Harry Potter because of her.
Yeah.
But like, even in this
Wanting
context,
to do
I'm
this
like,
right.
this is
Daunting.
insane.
Yeah.
On some level, I'm like, this would make more sense to me if you said you were making a dedicated animated version of the books. I'd be like, you know what, that actually makes a lot of sense. But like, and to me, I'm just kind of sitting here going like, especially like the first 2 years, there's not a lot of material not covered in those first films that the books had. Like, when you get later, sure, we start skipping a lot of things, but like in the first book, like, the only thing that doesn't show up in the movie is Peeves the Poltergeist. And outside of that, everything's in that movie. So are we just gonna do that movie again as a 10-episode show and just be like, yeah, again, Rowling stuff aside, I'm not gonna watch this show. But I'm like, this is mind-boggling to me. Like, who? I don't know.
The only thing I was gonna say is, I mean, I'm not gonna watch it just because I'm not into Harry Potter anymore.
Yeah.
But if I can say one positive thing about this, because as we all know, like 3, 4, like 4 through, they took a lot of stuff out of the books. I specifically remember after reading Goblet of Fire how excited I was to see the Sphinx in the maze.
Because they get significantly longer.
Oh yeah.
So like, I don't blame the movies, but like, yeah, you're right. Those things will be in the shows because they have the time now.
Yeah.
But those first 3 seasons.
Yeah, those are just gonna be the movies, but longer, and I'm not for it. The only, this is, I hate this whole thing. I think it's dumb. I think it's a bad idea. I get Warner Brothers is like really trying hard to get another franchise, get another big moneymaker, and I'm just like, just stop, Warner Brothers.
They're saying that they're going to make a push for like better diversity representation in this show, and I'm like, that's cool. Are you talking like you'll have consistent actors playing the racially profiled characters that are in the books, and so they'll constantly be there, but like they're still going to be background characters? Or are we talking we're going to have a black Harry Potter? Like, where what are we talking? Is Hermione finally going to be black now?
That's going to be the like. It's. I'm not going to watch the show. I don't care. Like, I don't care if like Jonathan Hickman is writing the show, right? Like, I'm just. There's so many other. Like I said last week, there's so many other magical things that are available to me.
The only way I would be doing it is if J.K. Rowling wasn't involved, and it was someone like putting their own spin now on the books, taking it in their own unique direction,
an adaptation instead of just redoing it,
right?
Which is what this is going to be.
I'm really... How do you know it's going to be them redoing it? Because they played a teaser for it where they showed
the John Williams music.
Where they showed the same castle from the movies and played the John Williams music, and I'm like, how is this not just going to be a rehash? What are we doing?
Yeah, a new adaptation, but using the same locations and music. I'm sure it'll have new stuff. It was a template because they wanted to make it quick.
Yeah, but like you know who you're marketing to. You're saying like, hey, this is the thing. It's going to be this thing again. Don't worry.
Yeah. Again, as we said last week, there are still, millions of Harry Potter fans. Like, there are people who don't live on the internet like us who like, they're not as like aware of what JK's done. Like, they saw they read the books as kids. They saw the movies. Like, they're not as aware. So like, oh, a new Harry Potter show. Sure, I'll watch it. Again, that Hogwarts Legacy game is one of the fastest selling games of all time. It sold Elden Ring numbers like real quick. Like, it was insane. And that was not because the nerds bought it. It's because regular folk bought it. And like, people didn't respond to those Fantastic Beasts movies because I just don't think they're very good.
Right.
And like, after consistently not being good, people are like, I'm just not interested. It's not Harry Potter. It's Newt Scamander. Who cares? This being Harry Potter again, I think at least the first season will be huge. And depending on how good it is, it will very quickly falter out.
Grayson has a great comment. Same story, same set. Think it'll just be boring. I agree.
Yeah.
That's like... Harry Potter was always going to be remade, and if it was remade, I always felt like it should be a show of some kind. But honestly, it didn't even come up to my mind. But like, it was always like it should be animated. And like that's how you really take the time to do it, because like you're just going to struggle so much doing this in live action. And I just,
it's awful.
I have and I feel bad for the kids that are going to get dragged into this culture war bullshit.
Absolutely.
And like, it's not their fault.
No.
And like, it's going to follow them forever.
Man, like, I can't even imagine, like, how much time and like how much a part of their lives like that you know, the original kids, how much they put into Harry Potter.
There's 100% going to be at least one kid who's casting this, who's going to go through some too much internet bullshit.
Oh, sure.
Like,
Especially
if they're midway through the series drop out.
Yeah, unfortunately, also if it is a diverse cast, you know, the shitheads will go, oh, this character wasn't this. And
that's
like,
the thing is, like, you know,
you can't win. Nobody will
going to
win.
lose with another group of people, like the people who are pro Rowling but don't want a Black Hermione.
Yeah.
Even though there's pretense for it now because of Cursed Child, like
Word.
And frankly, like with Cursed Child out there in a Black Hermione, like if one of the main trio is not non-white,
yeah, it's gonna be
that's really gonna floor me.
100%. I 100% agree.
But either way, I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah. Hey y'all, watch Motherland Fort Salem, a great show about diverse witches in a military world. Great show. Speaking of great things, y'all, Star Wars Celebration happened last week, and there was some runoff. There was some trickle over the week that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we were not able to pick up with the news that trickled in on Monday.
Yeah.
So we had to follow up one more time. Couple of Star Wars bits.
Doodaloo. First, we're going to talk about some comics. A new Star Wars event's coming out soon that I'm pretty excited for. It's called Star Wars Dark Droids. It will be a major crossover event in Star Wars line. The main miniseries will be written by Charles Soule and drawn by Luke Ross. Those are both people who have done so much GD Star Wars content. Luke Ross has drawn, I feel like, almost every miniseries I've ever seen him do. He did like Thrawn, and he did Darth Maul, and he's done Vader, and he's done Obi-Wan. He's done everything.
They know Star Wars like the back of their hands. Yeah.
Like, exactly. Charles Soule, he's incredible all the time. A mysterious new threat called the Scourge corrupts droids, cyborgs, and everything in between, spreading chaos throughout the galaxy. This is fun because a more detailed description went into droids are being affected by this thing that's turning them crazy, but it's happening to the Empire and the Rebellion. So some people have to team up to stop the droids at times. So like the enemy of your enemy is you know, that kind of thing, which is going to be really fun. Like, because what happens if every droid in the universe went crazy? That's a fun idea.
Yeah.
Droid sentience, that's a thing we won't talk about this episode. Yeah, they're going to be spreading chaos throughout the galaxy. This spinoff will go into other ongoing Star Wars titles such as Darth Vader, Dr. Aphra, Bounty Hunters, and a bunch of one-shots between Empire and Jedi is when this
because that's where we still are in the comics, which is honestly, like, when this came out, I was like, God, that's true. We still are in this phase.
We're doing like 5-year, because it started in like 2015, like basically like 5-year gaps for each of the movies in the trilogy. It's
nuts to me, and like I really want to read all this stuff because I fell behind, but like
same.
It's nuts to me how much good storytelling, and I've heard a lot of good things about the storytelling happening at this point in time with the comics, they've been able to do without Han Solo on the table.
Yeah.
And I think that's really impressive. And
it's much of it.
I'm super intrigued by it.
Like, there's the whole Bounty Hunter war about Han Solo and stuff.
Right. Yeah. So I'm all for this, really excited about it. If you want to hear more about us talking about why we might be so excited about some of this droid angle stuff, go check out our Fake Nerds Watch discussion on the Mando episodes 4 through 6 that we talked about earlier. There's definitely some droid talk going on.
IG-11, baby.
This kind of came at exactly the right time for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some more Star Wars nudes. The news. The Bad Batch. They will return for a third and final season.
Yeah, I think I haven't watched the second season yet, but like, I'm glad to know like they're setting an end point. Like, we got our story with these guys. Here it is. Here we go.
They got a trajectory.
I will say, like, I didn't mention it too much earlier, but when I was watching the season 1 finale, the last episode of season 1, the one before the 2-part finale is where they basically discover stormtroopers for the first time, and they learn about them, and that they're replacing clone troopers with stormtroopers, and that they're using clone commanders to train them initially, and that the clone commanders, like, there's kind of an in-canon reason why stormtroopers, at least early stormtroopers, suck. It's because clone commanders didn't teach them everything they know, because they were like, well, that'd be really stupid of me, wouldn't it? So clone commanders didn't trust the stormtroopers, so they wouldn't teach them all of their tricks.
Smart. That's why they suck so bad. Love it.
It's really cool. That episode in particular, I meant to shout this out also. Bad Batch, something I really love about it is that episode features a lot of like the early, like when you're first on the Death Star, hearing like going around and hearing the stormtroopers in the Death Star, like that music. That there's a lot of that in here. A lot of the very early New Hope vibes.
Yeah.
And then when they go back to Camino for the season finale, you get a lot of like John Williams' score for Camino comes back around, and it's very powerful and effective.
Camino lost.
The Bad Batch stuff is really good. I think that they've asked and presented a lot of great questions for like how smooth was for the troopers coming from the clones is the main focus of like that transfer of power where the clones go away and the troopers take over. But in a bigger way, how ready the Empire was to jump into a militaristic state because of having watched it be successful with the Republic Army, and like looking at it and being like, well, we could take all these pieces and basically rally a mob of people to want to be part of it in a human way, because they distrust the clones. The clones have a moral compass because they worked with the Jedi.
Yeah.
And so they're like, the clones don't quite work for us. We want people who are committed to the cause or feel like they are constricted by fear.
Can be manipulated.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's so important to them, which is why Tarkin is one of the people who pushes for the creation of the stormtroopers. It's really, really fascinating. And I think it's a great era to explore of how the Empire was able to mount their military power so quickly as an echo of what the clones were during the Republic Wars. So I think that's really cool. And I'm glad that they're like, they've set, hey, we're doing the story at the end. It's not here in the news, but we do know that Ming-Na Wen was announced as a character returning to the Bad Batch as Fennec Shand.
Oh, she's
in the first season.
Yeah.
So we're seeing her again for the third season. People who are watching know that there's going to be like, I'm very interested what they're going to do, what kind of lingering questions. Cause like, I don't think everybody in the Bad Batch is going to survive their way out of that third season, but somebody is.
Sure.
And I'm really curious where those characters could turn up next, in particular, a character named Omega. So,
yeah.
There's some really fascinating stuff about like where this is going to leave. Again, like we're talking about all the like places for storytelling to go. There's some really interesting stuff. I'm wondering what we're going to see next. So I'm super happy for them. I'm glad that they have a solid, like, this will be our final moment.
Grayson is in the chat saying, oof, I'm looking forward to this. I'm certainly enjoying where they're at in the Bad Batch. He wrote that a little while ago, so I'm assuming when they find out about the stormtroopers.
Yeah. So in general, just like, I just like when they're saying with these animated shows, which has happened, now with 3 of them, only one has not been given like we know we're ending right here and here we go. And that was Resistance. But like Clone Wars, ultimately, not at first, but ultimately did get its ending. And so too did Rebels, and now the Bad Batch. I'm always happy when that happens. And honestly, like one of these closing opens the door for another potential animated series. Who knows where that could be at in Star Wars? But I'm very excited.
Well, moving on to the more Star Wars, we got a little bit of casting news. In Ahsoka, the Ahsoka show, Wes Chatham has been cast. He was in Tenet and the TV show The Expanse. He will star as the right-hand man to Thrawn. I'm curious who that is, because he already has a right-hand man to Thrawn, and we saw him in the episode 7. His name's Captain Pelion. Also, I'm curious because in the Star Wars Thrawn novel that I'm currently listening to, despite that is a before episode 4, so it doesn't make sense, but he does have a younger right-hand man, and I'm wondering if they're going to bring him in, or it's a new, different right-hand man, or
I've seen some people theorizing that it's I forget his name, but when we read the Thrawn comic, there's a guy in the Empire that he pulls out of the Empire and sends to rendezvous with a Chiss and meet up with her, and that's just kind of left as like this note that's not picked up again.
Oh, because that happens in a later Thrawn book.
Yeah,
because that Thrawn comic is a shorter version of the book.
Right. So I'm wondering if it could be that guy.
Yeah.
I forgot. Some other people have like thrown that out there, that like there's enough similar face representation between the comic and the actor that I'm like, could be.
Bring more Chissen, baby. I love it. I'm all about it. And this will take us, y'all. This is going to take us into trailers. But we have a trailer. Ooh, I'm going to pull it up now. We have a trailer for a little show called Star Wars Visions. I'm going to bring up that share screen now. So all our friends at home, sorry, audio listeners, you can see what we're talking about. Bing bong. No, I don't like this. Can I change this? Siri, change this. Better. Good enough. What do you guys like better? You like this one better? You like this one better?
We're a little smaller in this one, so maybe it's the one where we're on the side.
There you go. I'm just asking, it's a work in progress. We're going to talk about Star Wars Visions. I haven't watched season 1. Have any of y'all watched season 1 yet?
I watched parts of season 1.
Parsec season 1. Beautiful. Well,
We'll be revisiting it soon.
we will. Yeah, we are probably going to talk about season 1 before this one comes out. I think this was incredible. Not that the first season didn't look incredible. I just haven't watched it yet.
They're the most shocking one to me, which I knew the studio was involved, but the one that I was most fascinated to see and really is visually standing out to me is the Aardman.
Oh yes, 100%. Yeah.
Which is Wallace and Gromit studio, and when we get to the Aardman stuff, I'm like, yo, this looks so weird, but somehow a Wookiee looks so right in Aardman animation. It looks nuts. There's a lot of great stuff here. I'm really glad that we're this season in particular, standing apart from the first one. There we are, the Aardman stuff.
It's insane. I can't believe it.
It's nuts. I can't believe. Look how good that Wookiee looks.
I want to hug him. I want to hug the Wookiee.
What I'm really excited about is and we know because of the diversity of these studios, the first season was really great. I'm really happy all those creators were involved, but it was very anime leading heavy.
Yes, it was.
And this season feels much more really across the board of different styles and takes on animation, and I'm really, really excited.
One of them looks like an evolution of what the Clone Wars looked like, just a hyper, a really good version of what the Clone Wars look like.
Right.
This definitely makes me excited.
This is also that one in particular where she's facing down the TIE fighter looks really great.
Love it. Art, it's so good. Love it.
Yeah. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that Lucasfilm has embraced this let's have fun with Star Wars beyond the lore and the canon. I think this is a wonderful way to explore it because all the emotion you feel from all the stuff you're shown in this trailer is still very in tone with Star Wars.
I didn't see the double bladed that was part red, part orange. Oh shit. That was pretty sweet. This looks fantastic.
I can't praise. I mean, I know I've only seen a few episodes. I've got up to, I want to say, the Twins, which I know is Brandon's. That's his favorite short from the first season of Star Wars Visions.
Right.
For what it's been on my watch list. I need to finish it, and Visions is absolutely stunning from what I have seen.
This guy looks.
I have to agree with Sparks. Yes, the first season of Visions was very anime heavy. Not to say that's bad. I think the first season needs to be very anime heavy because there's been a lot of fan projects out there that take anime inspired, or they take Star Wars and they essentially fan animate it.
Anime is an incredibly beloved medium. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And now seeing the second season of Visions where there's different styles of animation, I also think this is great. And also I just love how these are all just one shots, or all these episodes. There's no grand arching story. It's an anthology series. You don't have to watch 1 through 3 to understand what happens in episode 6. Right. It's fantastic. And I love that Lucasfilm is letting these animation studios hey, you want to do a Star Wars thing? Go nuts.
And what I love about it is because they're allowed the freedom to do what they want, these feel like what if stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They don't
100%.
Whether they're canon or not, I don't even care. It's just the fact that they don't have to be strict with what they can do is just it is so nice to see Disney allowing this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the creative freedom I'm seeing in so many different things.
I'll be honest with you. I really wish Gendy would get to come back for one of these.
Oh shit!
Get back and be able to do something completely unrestrained.
Yeah, I see it in my brain. Yeah, I can see that happen. Absolutely.
To go back to season 1 a little bit, one of the favorite stories I've seen. I love the Twins arc. I think the Twins is great, but story wise, rodents kick ass.
Oh, for sure.
I love
because it's the most pure.
I loved that rodent story.
You can't get more pure what are the Jedi than going back to the source of samurai.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Of course.
Yeah. Star Wars Visions looking high.
Looking hot.
Looking very hot. It's definitely, this is my reminder to finish season 1 so I can watch season 2.
Well, again, we're gonna be talking about it. So if you want to be there, Ben, you'll be there with us. Moving on to video games, Vimeo memes. Y'all, let's talk about role playing. Let's talk about music. Let's talk about Telltale. This isn't made by Telltale, but it's the type of game it is. Let's talk about Stray Gods.
Let's talk about something that is wholly new. I've never heard of this style of video game before. Or at least, oh no, that's a lie. I have played the style of video game, but it's done so differently. And the musical theater nerd in me is jumping for joy.
Yeah. I just played Hi-Fi Rush, which is a musical game. I don't think I've ever played a game that is a musical.
No, I don't think that's.
I don't know. I'm sure it exists in the indie world, but mainstream, it's only rhythm games. This is a musical that's a game.
Right.
Yeah. This whole time I'm like, what is going on here? What's the gameplay? It's oh no, you're they're singing and your choices affected the lyrics of the music. And I'm like, that is so ingenious.
It's so cool.
So,
And I love the look of it.
Real quick, Ben. So like our main character that you're seeing in most of the trailer here, she is right by a friend of hers who passes away, and she is given the power that she had, which is the power of the muse.
Yeah, Calliope.
Now she's beholden to the Greek gods.
And and like I mentioned to Sparkshot, like the art style, it is wholly unique, but it does remind me of Hades, and only so that all the gods are super sexy in Hades.
I think it's like between Hades and Lore Olympus for me.
Lore Olympus. Oh, you're 100%. Yeah. But yeah, these are all like hot gods doing drama, singing, fighting, all in like, look at this voice cast. Like, it's like half of these people are from Critical Role, so you know it's going to be dope. Troy Baker's in it. He's in everything.
Yeah.
I love the look of this game so much. I am super, super stoked for this one.
Yeah, I think this is super unique. Really, really cool.
I'm glad you who showed this with them?
Yeah, I caught this earlier this week.
I'm glad.
I really, really hope this one lands and hits hard and people start talking about this, because I feel that a lot of times we see a lot of games that have a very unique style, a very unique thing, and it's like, oh, this is cool, and then we never hear anything about it ever again. And I really, 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 really hope that this is a game that breaks through that barrier and becomes so well known. It's like, no, this starts something. I really hope for that.
Only on PC, unfortunately.
Right,
but that's okay.
I'm pretty sure,
well,
and I honestly would need to take more time to look back into it, but I'm pretty sure what this was like, there's a 3 years ago proof of concept video that came out, and I believe they were like looking for funding. Like this was getting a Kickstarter, GoFundMe kind of thing to get off the ground, and it got wild success. And so here we are with the game, and it looks awesome.
Hell yeah. Oh, it's a humble game, humble bundle. Yeah, love it. Yeah. Very unique, looks fantastic. Ooh, let's guys, let's go to camp. And by that, not camping with tents. I mean, let's go to movie camp where things are stupid and silly. We're gonna talk about Resident Evil Death Island. I'll be honest, I don't think this trailer looks particularly good, but what it does look like is a lot of fun. Because the thing about this one is, this is like the first time that all of the main Resident Evil cast are together post, Resident Evil 6, like in the relaunch, reboot era after 7, with all of their new looks after all the remakes. So this is a brand new looking Chris Redfield. This is not what Chris normally looks like. It is a very modern, like, hey, this is Resident Evil in 2023, and it's awesome. It looks really dumb. In the best way.
This, I think, is the same animation studio that made the previous Resident Evil thing that came out on like Netflix and everything.
Yeah.
Where they're, so that one, like comparatively,
I watched one episode and I didn't like it.
That one was so like
still
very, very serious, and this feels like a fun time. Like it feels kind of like a sci-fi movie for Resident Evil, but like I'm kind of down for that, especially like you are getting like all these main characters together.
Yeah, it is basically like fan service, the Resident Evil movie, but again, like that's okay because it's not a very serious franchise. Like again, like Chris Redfield, someone who punches a boulder in the middle of a volcano fight,
right? Like
to explode it before it crushes it.
Hey, and you're getting a bunch of Gilman.
Yeah, look at that Gilman. I just love Resident Evil has always had like giant like mutated spiders and sharks and snakes.
Give me a big T-virus shark anytime.
Hell yeah, like a whole fleet of them. Lickers. Look at all these lickers. It looks great. I think the animation it does look considerably better than that. I think it was Resident Evil Enter the Darkness or something for Netflix, but this looks much better.
The bad guy, by the way, almost looks like Kevin Bacon.
Sure.
And I kind of wish it was.
Hell yeah.
On purpose.
Hell yeah.
What's up, Ben? Sorry, we've dominated.
I was just gonna say this looks fun. It feels like that Resident Evil crossover you wish would happen with all the main protagonists coming together, and it's like they have to band together to stop this giant. It's like the Resident Evil Avengers.
It is Resident Evil Avengers. Like, that is exactly what this is.
And
like,
also
the setup shot where they're all like pointing their guns forward. It's basically the Avengers like pan around shot, but for Resident Evil characters.
It is, and even
this is the Avengers shot.
Yeah.
Like you have like that giant fin just swooshing around, and everyone's ducking and dodging. I do agree this does look very campy, but also it looks very fun. I might watch this, to be perfectly honest, just because it's like this is neat.
Yeah, for sure.
It just looks like
it feels like the kind of thing that's going to be very like friendly to the fans. So happy for the fans.
Absolutely. Speaking of being family friendly, you didn't say that, but I said family friendly.
Family friendly.
let's talk about Crater.
I only want to touch on this briefly,
For Disney
personally. Crater for Disney Plus. The reason that I find this really charming and appealing is that I can't think of another space film that's like actually prominently featured kids and put them in sincere, like, we're in space danger,
Sure,
like the meteor shower coming down on them and that kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't think there's been a space movie that's really done that in a sincere way. So like, I'm kind of into this.
Yeah, I think it looks like really well made, and like for being like a kids product, like it's not like talking down to kids, like it's like talking with kids.
Right. It feels like once they're out there, I feel like there is an amount of like
Danger.
survival. These are the people who you're going to want to count on now.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool because like the isolation and space thing can still be translated over to like kids being out there.
Yeah.
And I think that could be pretty entertaining. Obviously they won't go really, really dark with it, but like you can still play with that very sincere tension. Like these kids are out very far on their own in a dangerous zone. Like that's still really cool.
It reminds me like,
and it comes with like the childhood wonder like of space wrapped into that, so you get like both things. So I think that's really nice.
It says that, you know, from a producer of Stranger Things, but like it does give me like you know like Stranger Things, like Goonies vibes, like a bunch of kids going on an adventure. This one just happens to be in space.
I was just about to say that.
Space holes.
Yeah.
I was just about to say this feels like one of those 80s movies where you got a kid or a bunch of kids going on an adventure and it turns into a coming of age story where they essentially the adventure tackles whatever problems they're dealing with on the inside, and then they all learn a very valuable lesson, or they come to realize a very important truth. And to me, this trailer, and since it's from the producers of Stranger Things, those guys nailed it. And they're like, hey, let's take those great 80s coming of age stories that we know and love and put a bunch of kids on the moon, because why the hell not? Who doesn't want to go to the moon?
Yeah. Here's the other thing about it is like, it's a very brief trailer. These kids all feel like real kids.
Yeah.
Like they don't feel like adult ideas of kids that are like really, you know, typified and like they're making like, these are kid jokes, but like womp womp womp. Like they feel real.
Yeah.
In a tangible way. So I'm hopeful for this. This seems really, really nice.
Yeah.
I meant my
More
friend
kids
just
in danger in
jumped.
space.
I agree.
Here comes Skeleton Crew.
I wish this show it's a little not for me just because it's for kids, but like if I grew up watching the show, this would probably be my favorite show because space is my favorite thing. Like I can't imagine being like a kid trapped with kids like in space. Like it seems like a really good time.
Yeah.
Speaking of a good time, but for adults, let's go back in time to the 1970s New York. John Wick is just a little baby boy in his mama's diapers. Wait, his mom doesn't wear diapers. He wears diapers. But it's from the world of John Wick, the Continental. It's the John Wick prequel series that has been in development like since John Wick 1. I feel like we've been talking about this thing for literal years. We're finally here. And this is mostly a vibes trailer. I am so excited for this show. It could end up being bad, but this trailer gave me all the vibes of like, yo, old school Tommy guns, you know, ninja swords, but it's like in the 70s, like the old school style, the aesthetic, like Lincoln Continentals, like big fur coats. Love it. Like Godfather assassins. Love it.
Yeah.
I would say this trailer passes the vibe check.
Yeah.
I'm more hopeful knowing it's just a 3-part event rather than them like trying to drag it into a full show.
I didn't realize that.
Like making it a limited event. I'm like,
it's like
okay.
It's like a BBC Doctor Who where like there's like 3 hour-and-a-half long episodes.
I feel like there's a lot less expectation on like, especially with a show like this, like having to prop up you like who are your main characters and they'll have to survive kind of thing.
Yes.
Like it's a 3-part event, like anything can happen.
Yeah, it can be about the world. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad we're finally here. I just hope it's good. Speaking of things that I hope are also good, let's talk about Gremlins, The Secrets of the Mogwai. Do you guys like Gremlins? Because I love Gremlins.
Never seen it.
God damn it.
God damn it. Man.
Every day. No, I'm just kidding.
Every week.
It feels like every week.
I love Gremlins, specifically like Gremlins 2, because those are kids movies that are not kids movies.
Right.
Those are kids movies that scare the shit out of kids.
Right.
And like that old 80s aesthetic of like, yo, we're for kids, but we're not afraid to scare kids.
Real quick, because it was just in the trailer. There's this shot where they show like where all the Mogwai live, and I'm like, that's exactly what I picture Grogu planet to be like.
Dude, I swear to God, I thought, it's Grogu's planet, 100%.
Yeah.
I'll say like I think this trailer is charming. I think it's cute. Again, I don't think it's for me because while it has all the the accessories of a Gremlins like thing. I don't think it's going to be dark enough for what I want it to be.
Right.
I know Steven Spielberg is an executive producer, but in this day and age, that just means his name's attached to it. So like, I don't know how much he's actually involved. This looks like a fun, you know, it reminds me of like one of those DreamWorks, like Kung Fu Panda or like Troll Hunter shows. Like, I'm sure it's going to be fine, but like, it's not what I expected a Gremlin show to be. It is much more about like the lore, and I just don't care about the lore at all.
There's also an amount where like, you know, going to the world and like the magical realm opening up and all this kind of stuff. Where I'm like, this is a little more bombastic than I like my Gremlins content to be. Personally,
no, I agree. I don't mind you delving into like more of like the history or whatever, but like I don't want this. Like I don't want like this is not what I wanted. And again, it's a kid's show, so like it's not for me. It's like, you know, seeing a bunch of like fun, happy, evil Gremlins as opposed to like demonic Gremlins is still probably going to be fun. But I really like that dark comedy sensibility that Joe Dante made with those two. Oh yeah, hell yeah, there we go. I think I like the animation style. I think again, like it looks charming. Just like I hope it is darker than what it's leading on, because that's what Gremlins is to me. You know what I mean?
I like the design of Gizmo in his cute form, but I'm not as crazy about all the darker sides.
They're
in their animation. Like he looks really good to me in translation in this animation, and the others are like hit or miss depending on which one I'm looking at.
Yeah, big fish. Oh, one turns into a giant fish. Interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole.
It is the interesting. Yeah, like making this into a much bigger thing with like actual like magic, and I'm like, I'm sure that's fine. I don't know if that's what I personally wanted for a Gremlin.
Right.
Ben, I'll make you watch Gremlins 1 and 2 one of these days. I think you will like them a lot.
Maybe just, when this comes out, we'll do another franchise thing.
Yeah. Any excuse to watch Gremlins again, because incredible stuff. Ooh, Ben, do you want to get scared? Why don't you talk to me about it?
No.
Yo, this trailer
no.
This trailer is so good.
The second I saw A24, I'm like, I'm out.
Oh, the hand?
This part. No. I'm out.
Really
I'm out. No.
You mean you're so in? You mean you're so excited?
Grogu,
no.
Yes.
No, I need to watch Marcel the Show with Shoes On. I need to watch that. I don't need to watch another A24 film that's gonna mess me up psychologically. No.
So Talk to Me looks really fun because it's like, hey, kids do seances all the time. You know, like we're a bunch of kids having fun. Like, this is interesting because it's like
they've invented something.
They've invented something that like works. Yeah. And they've done it before, and it's like we're gonna keep doing it, and we're videotaping it. So like we know we're letting spirits in. So it's really cool.
No person can do it more than 90 seconds.
Nope. Yeah, there's like a time limit. Like it is like a game with the dead, and it's like that's a really fun modern take on like the Ouija board.
Yeah.
Of like we can talk to the dead. We figured out how to do it. Who's next?
Right.
Don't think about the ramifications. Who's next? Looks.
How about the girl whose mom recently passed away in a really tragic way? Maybe she should talk to the dead.
Yeah. The vibes in this trailer were immaculate, and by that I mean they're awful. I love it. Again, A24 has never disappointed me, especially with horror.
There's a pull quote that's like, "It takes you, guides you by the hand straight into hell," and I'm like, wow, all right.
And I love that.
I can't wait to sit in the theater next to Ben.
Oh yeah, and what I love about it, it's like a mannequin hand, and like the demon looks part mannequin. Like their face is like half a mannequin face, and I'm like, ooh, if it's one thing I hate, it's mannequins. So this movie's got me in the bag. Ooh yeah. Ben, it's skin crawling demonic horror. I can't wait.
Yeah, good luck getting me into the theater with this one.
Ben, I do think this looks like pretty intense, and it's going to be a dark, bad time. No way in hell do I think Evil Dead Rise isn't going to mess you up more.
Oh yeah,
like, and you're definitely doing that one.
Oh,
and that one's going to ruin you.
Talk to me as Gremlins Rise on the Mog.
I think you're going to come out of Evil Dead Rise being like, can we go see Talk to Me, please?
A changed man you will be, Ben.
I'm gonna come out of there getting to having so many more drinks in Hawaii than I'm originally going to have.
Speaking of taking trips, you know who's not going to Hawaii? Every person on the last voyage of the Demeter, which is a new Dracula movie. Oh, hold on, wait a second. Dracula movie. I put my things on. This is an awesome idea because this is a single chapter in Bram Stoker's Dracula novel about how Dracula got from Romania, Transylvania to England, America?
Yeah, to England.
England, yeah. So just making a whole movie about all of these doomed men is an awesome idea that I love.
You see it for a quick flash in Renfield,
It's true.
as done in the original Dracula movie, where it doesn't get a lot more time there either. It's a pretty quick bit.
Yep.
But like here, it's going to be a whole movie, and I think this is really a cool idea.
I love it. Yeah. Because we know what's going to happen, but we don't know how it's going to happen.
You would think that with movies and stories like this, that people would be like, oh, we all know what's going to happen. But for some reason, after seeing this trailer, it's like, I'm interested, even though I know the fate of all these characters, or maybe one or two characters somehow survive. They get off the boat, they jump ship, and the ship just lands in London as it was supposed to. But seeing how everyone doesn't know what's going on or who Dracula is, or some people know who Dracula is, but the whole we have to find it, and you're stuck on the ship, and it's this monster is still skittering around and getting away every time, even though it's a small ship or a smaller ship. It is very intense, and even seeing this trailer was very intense. I'm like, I actually am kind of digging this. I want to see this, and also I really do like the vampire design a whole lot.
Yeah, I am so stoked for this because my favorite horror movie, John Carpenter's The Thing, it's all about paranoia and who you can trust and like being stranded and like nobody can help you no matter what. And I got a lot of the same vibes from this one. And what I love is that like they're expanding it so much where like we are seeing people being bitten by Dracula, turning into vampires and dying with the sun. So there's going to be an aspect of like, can I trust this person? Like they got bit, but like we don't know what's happening to them. So like so much is going to happen. And like, again, we know what happens. Like none of these people survive as far as we know from that book. Again, it's like, it's one chapter, but like, I guess someone can jump off a ship and survive. I think it's a more tragic story if like everybody escapes and Dracula just walks off that ship like it's nothing. I think it's going to be a spicy movie.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. The writer of this film has been trying to get this film made since 2002. He had the idea to expand on Chapter 7 of Dracula into this story since then. But one of my favorite things about it is that someone is Renfield on this boat.
Yep.
Somebody's Renfield, and you don't know who.
Who's Renfield? Is it the
and
most
I'm
famous
really
person?
into that too.
Is it David
Is it
Dastmalchian?
David Dastmalchian?
I'm just gonna say the guy who plays is it Sir Boros? No,
Liam Cunningham.
Liam Cunningham from Game of Thrones, who played the Onion Knight, is in this movie, and I'm glad to see him again.
Yeah, he's playing the captain. He's definitely not Renfield. There are a couple who I'm like, well, they can't be Renfield.
Yeah.
But like,
it's the dog.
I'm really intrigued. I'm really intrigued by like. There's also this added like, yes, Dracula is on the ship and Dracula's among us, and that's dangerous and all this kind of stuff. And I love a good like monster on a ship kind of idea when it's executed well. And this looks like it might just be executed pretty well.
Yeah,
got a lot of period stuff going and working for it. But another thing I love is like knowing somebody, like you compared to The Thing, when we talked about this, like knowing somebody is shitty and like deceiving everyone, but not knowing who it is. And you have that potential with Renfield because this is a Renfield who's like on board with making sure Dracula succeeds.
I can imagine like the final confrontation being like the final survivor, and they think they won, and then Renfield comes up and like nah, and just like kills the person.
Right. Yeah.
And then Dracula's like, thanks, Renfield, appreciate you.
Right.
There's no way this isn't going to be some tragedy.
We don't. So I say that, Ben, because like they're not telling us who's been cast as Renfield.
Yeah.
But whoever's playing Renfield has not been credited.
Love it.
So it could be anybody.
We love a good mystery. Speaking of things that aren't a mystery anymore, let's talk about the Electric Mayhem.
Yeah.
And Dr. Teeth and his first record.
Guys, I'm really happy that I think for the first time in the Disney Plus era, I feel like we're really doing some good Muppets content. Like A+ Muppets content. You've got so many good celebrity cameos, whether that's like musicians or actors. There's so many There's so many good cameos going on here, which is like always fun with the Muppets, is just to see these people do it. Fun fact, first time Al Yankovic has finally worked with the Muppets. Finally, they got him.
It took only 45 years.
It took so long, but it's finally happened. But I love the premise of this. I love the idea that, the Electric Mayhem is beloved around the world, except they've never made an album.
Yeah.
And this impetus, like, you guys should really make an album. People would love that. And I think that's a great setup for like this. And they're trying to help them make it, but they can only apply like modern music ideas to it. And like, that's just, you gotta just let the Electric Mayhem cook the way they cook.
Yeah. They got a song called Exit, the Exit Light song. Mm-hmm. That's like, it's such a hot bop. And I just hope it gets used somewhere in this.
Yeah.
I love it. I think they're great. I love you, Animal.
I love it. I love the idea, especially of like, all right, cool. We got like our drum beat from like that one tap Animal does, and we're just gonna use that over and over again. And Animal's like, this is not how you do drums. I think that they really work as like, you are able to take what is essentially a band parody of bands from 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And because they are the Muppets, they're still working today. So they can just go through like culture shock of the music career. I think it's genius. I really, really do. I was kind of nervous about a Muppets property that's only focusing on the Electric Mayhem, but I think it's actually a really great idea.
Yeah, I love it. I think they're great. It is cool that they are like branching out instead of just like the core guys. Good for you, Dr. T.
Also, the last joke with Kevin Smith makes me crack the heck up. Do not look at this camera immediately.
All
look at this camera and stare at it blankly.
Yeah.
Ben, any thoughts on Muppets Mayhem?
Sorry, because I just got. I'm talking with Grayson privately right now because apparently our stream got interrupted. I mean, they can still hear us because I just got an email on the FNP saying that because we were showing copyrighted material, they cut it. Or at least
that
they
doesn't make any sense.
At least they cut the visuals. Grayson's saying we're back now, but going back to Electric Mayhem, I love this trailer.
Sure.
I think this trailer is absolutely hilarious, and just the idea of a band never recording an album, yet all these artists are talking. I mean, it is the Muppets, so of course all these IRL artists are like, yeah, like I forgot, was that Tommy Lee from Motley Crue who lifts up his shirt and shows up the tattoo? I'm like, that's awesome. That's just hilarious, and I am really looking forward to watching this because I think this is just great Muppets comedy with Mr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem.
Right.
I agree.
Is it Mr. Teeth or Dr. Teeth?
Dr. Teeth.
Yeah, with Dr. Teeth.
Give him respect. Speaking of respect, we're not going to watch any more trailers because YouTube sometimes really sucks. It's specifically for the last couple of trailers because Nintendo has been going really hard on demonetizing really big million YouTubers. So like, I'm not even going to try to pretend to watch a trailer next. But the next trailer that we are going to discuss is Peter Pan and Wendy. Let's talk about Peter. I moved the bigger trailer later on. Yeah. Let's talk about Peter Pan and Wendy. I'm going to be honest, y'all. I got no love for Peter Pan. I don't care about Peter Pan at all. This looks like a lovely movie. This looks like a good representation of what that is. I like the director a lot, so that gives me faith.
Yeah.
I got some love for Peter Pan. I mean, that was a classic film when I was a kid. I might give this a shot. This looks really decent. If I had anything to say, I would say I wish it was a little bit more colorful. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure if the action's there, the humor's there, the wit is there, and I'll look forward to it.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty happy with this right now, to be honest with you. I am a big Peter Pan fan, and this feels like they're bringing an amount of good consideration from like wider Pan history. I like that this does feel to me like they are putting the focus so much more on Wendy, which like I like the Peter Pan film that came out like a while ago, back when we were in high school. I like it fine. I think it's a pretty good adaptation. But it's not it's not at all really like a story about the Darlings. And this feels like it's a story about the Darlings.
Yes.
And I really, really appreciate that. I think that's really cool. So I think that can be a lot of fun. I think Jude Law, we got to see a lot more of what he's doing with Hook, and I think it's fun here. I think Jem Gaffigan as Smee is a genius casting.
Oh yeah, sure.
And to top it all off, like, this just doesn't look like the animated film to me. It doesn't look like we are taking the Disney animated film and making a movie. There are elements where like we're alluding to that, but like those are all images that are in Peter Pan to begin with.
Yes,
There's nothing where I feel like they made something for the animated film and they are copycatting it into here.
So also, just to comment real quick about on the coloring, I would agree, but David Lowery, who directed The Green Knight and Pete's Dragon, and he is a director who uses muted colors. Like that is just his aesthetic. So like, I think for this director, it's not like they're doing this on like we're taking the color out. That's his style.
Not only that,
it's
like,
a little more grounded looking. Yeah.
Not only that, I find like when they're on Neverland, it looks like much more naturalistic coloring, and I really like it. It feels like it's very like it's defining.
It feels
Neverland.
like a real place.
It's defining Neverland in a way I don't think it's been defined on screen before, because it's always been made very fantastical and bombastic, and here it feels like just like
Ireland,
beautiful nature.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The when they do get to Neverland and it starts flying and they start flying around over the coast, it's like that's gorgeous.
Yeah. I wish again, this could be a big theater movie, but like,
they're definitely taking a big step away from how the Indians are usually portrayed, just in appearance. So what we're going to see with Tiger Lily, I'm very interested in. I think we might just be taking this might be where we reach real realm of adaptation. We might not be doing anything even kind of like what's in the original book, let alone like the films that were adapted after. I think this might really take it in a different place. And I think that's awesome if that's true.
Yeah.
But what I'm most interested in is if it will continue what I think is a beloved tradition of Peter Pan storytelling, which is that whoever plays Captain Hook always plays Wendy's father.
Oh,
and
sure.
I'm really hoping that that's still something embedded into this story, because it helps bring that focus really about the Darlings and what's going on with Wendy, because this is a story really about Wendy's choice to not grow up.
Yeah.
The Disney animated film doesn't hit that as hard, but this is a choice this is about Wendy being at this precipice of deciding who she's going to be. And this film looks like that's really going to push that idea. I'm super intrigued by it. I'm genuinely charmed, and I'm kind of sad that they only put it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
For this one, this looks like, I'll hold off on saying for sure, but like if I like this when it comes out, I'm going to be really sad that this went to Disney Plus instead of getting a chance in theaters.
Yeah, I agree.
Because just like you, I like David Lowery. I love Pete's Dragon, and I really enjoyed The Green Knight. So I think it'd be a shame if this is a knockout and they put it here.
Yeah, just to die on one.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Speaking of things that aren't being sent to die, Ben, it's time to talk. We didn't briefly talk about it. We talked about it either last week or the week before, but a full-ass Tears of the Kingdom, The Legend of Zelda trailer was released.
You mean Game of the Year for 2023, right?
Oh, I don't know, Ben, Mister. Oh, actually, it might be Final Fantasy 16. I saw your Twitter. I saw it. I'm still confident that Zelda will be Game of the Year.
No, I'm pretty confident too. I mean, don't get me wrong. Final Fantasy 16 looks like it will put up a decent fight, but everything like this third trailer for Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom was
there's still Spider-Man 2 at the end of the year. Also,
bro, no, it's no,
no,
it's not going to be as good as this.
Dear. Yeah, I cannot explain how hyped I am for Tears of the Kingdom. I cannot explain how I am ready for this game. I am ready to see, because a lot of the speculation when Breath of the Wild was coming out was, what happened? Is there Ganondorf? Are we seeing a Ganondorf? And the fact that we are getting Ganondorf, like we see him full on, and the entire internet is going, "Damn, he's hot." It's like the scene from SpongeBob. I was like, imagine him in his underwear. Ding! Oh no, he's hot.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go.
I got emotional for the first time I watched this trailer, and that rarely happens for video game trailers. And not like I love video games just as much as movies, but like just video game trailers don't often hit me that way. The music in The Legend of Zelda is iconic and it's incredible, and this trailer uses so many of the melodies and themes from Zelda in different ways, but also like reimagines them. There's a saxophone in this trailer that goes so hard. I love it. Breath of the Wild is already one of the greatest games of all time because of the player freedom. You see that mountain? You can actually go and climb that mountain. You can do whatever you want. The story is there. It's not as important as other games, but it's not the point. You can play that game you can go straight to Ganon if you want to fight him immediately, or you can spend 100 hours preparing yourself to fight him. It is a game of full creative freedom. That is my favorite thing about video games, and this game is like quadrupling that in every capacity. The things you can do in this game are just some things I've never seen in a video game before. The fact that you are making robots, you are making your own mechs that you can use, that you can build and use to walk around. There's rockets, there's planes, there's boats, there's rewinding time. There's definitely, Ben, we saw Hyrule Castle in its full glory. Like there's definitely time travel shit happening in this game. With Ganon, we see different types of Zeldas. Like she's like, I don't know what's happening with the story, but it seems like they're putting not more effort, because it's not like they didn't put effort, but they are putting more importance of the story in this game. Emphasis, thank you, in this game. On top of this is the biggest game they've ever made. They said this is the biggest file size for any Nintendo game of all time. This game is massive. And if it's another great Breath of the Wild, that's already a game of the year. If you give me a better version of that, I don't know what can beat it. FF16 looks great. That game is doing so much effing stuff in it. That is a huge, massive, throwing everything in the kitchen sink into it. So like that game, is trying to operate on a lot of things. Breath of the Wild, like, we know what we're doing. We don't need to go that hard. We'll focus on what's good, make it better, give you a great product, and we'll make the story better. I think this looks incredible.
Zelda's line of Link, "You need to find me," just pulled at all my heartstrings. Especially in Breath of the Wild, I made it a point to find all the memories. I made it a point to know exactly the relations between Zelda and Link leading up to when Calamity Ganon was unleashed upon the castle. I made it a point to know what happened to my friends. And dear God, every time I would save a divine beast and their ghost would appear and they would talk to me, even with Rivali, who most of the game I wanted to punch in his stupid beak because God, I hated his guts. Then I saved his thing like, I miss you now. I hate you, but I miss you.
The thing,
and
the trailer that like, besides all the great creative stuff that got to me was, we play a lot of PlayStation games that have companions, like God of War, Last of Us. You have companions. It looks like you got some of that shit in this game, because you see all of the champions from the last game, and they're your homies, and you're hanging out with them, and they're battling with you. And
you
I'm
have the leader of the Gerudo. You have
you got the sexy fish man, Seabon or whatever his name is. I love that dude.
You got Mifa's brother. You have that one Goron who is a descendant of your friend. You have, I want to say, Rivali's descendant.
All the homies are here.
All these guys ready to fight alongside you again, and just this sheer size of the map of Hyrule, going above and below in the Skyland, up in the sky. Everything about this game is just constantly blowing my mind.
More fun speculation. I brought up either like the first time the trailer was mentioned, or whatever, but like, was Ganon the hero of the past? And if you look in this trailer, there is a mural of old school Ganon with his crazy red locks, with a sword, and with a golden girl next to him fighting off the armies.
You mean Ganondorf, right?
Ganondorf, yes, thank you. The Ganon, you know what I mean? Yeah, I always get their name confused, but like, he is the hero from the past or whatever. And he did something, and he took in the evil to stop it, and then he became evil because of it. And if that is what they're doing, what people have been speculating for all this time, that's incredible. Making your villain the hero the entire time at the end, like, that is some like.
Because the thing is, Ganondorf has always been the bad guy ever since I want to say when he was first introduced. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the first time we saw Ganondorf as we know Ganondorf, who he is, it was in Ocarina of Time. Because in every game before, prior to that, be it the original Legend of Zelda, especially Link to the Past, I don't think they fought him in Zelda 2: Adventure of Link. It was always Ganon, the giant pig demon that you fight, and of course he's the end fight of Ocarina of Time as well. But seeing Ganondorf as the tragic hero who took in the evil and became evil, and he became the very thing he wanted to destroy, that brings a great story thread that the Zelda games haven't really touched upon. And honestly, I mean, they've brought in different story threads. Like, my favorite Zelda game is Link Between Worlds, where the main antagonist of the game isn't really the main antagonist of the game. It's a literal, sorry, a little spoiler alert for a game. Princess Hilda is the final boss, the opposite of Princess Zelda. And I like knowing Nintendo of what, because Zelda, especially with Zelda games, they do so little with story, and yet those little stories become such large impacts. To the video game world. It's nuts. I don't know how Nintendo was able to do it, because even like when we were talking about harkening back to our Super Mario Brothers movie review, whereas Nintendo has somehow found the magic secret sauce with their mainline games, Mario and Zelda, that they can give you so little, but it makes such a big impact on gaming as a whole.
I'll tell you why, because at the end of the day, they're video games and not movies. It's why something like Elden Ring and the Dark Souls franchise can be one of the biggest franchises in the world, and it also has very little story. Because again, at the end of the day, you're here to play a game. Yes, story is important to a lot of people, but like, at the end of the day, you're still here to press buttons, not listen to people talk, right? Like, you're here to play video games. And that Nintendo, for better or worse, is always focused on the gaming aspect first. And I would say for the positive for the most part, because like, I got PlayStation if I want really heavy narrative stuff. Nintendo's not good at that. You don't need to do that. You guys make great video games.
They do. They really do. their practices every once, well, not every once in a while, a lot of the times are kind of, but you're damn right. They make fantastic video games, and Tears of the Kingdom is definitely going to be one of those games where that weekend, don't talk to me because I'll be busy playing. I'll be blasting through Metroid Prime so I can buy Tears of the Kingdom without a guilty conscience and a backlog.
And Jedi Survivor comes out in 2 weeks.
Shit.
You're in trouble.
Ben's in trouble.
He's got Mega Man sitting right behind him.
Luckily with that one, I played most of those games already. This one, I was just like, I'm glad to have it, so I can replay those games should I want to.
Yeah. No, I get
it. But yeah, my bank account is already just like giving me the bombastic side eye from my trip next week.
It's gonna be a hot quarterly when we talk about
it. It is gonna be the hottest quarterly, dear God.
Speaking of hot quarterlies, that's a terrible transition to talk about our final trailer of the night, y'all. It's Marvel Studios' The Marvels.
Oh shit, that did come out this week.
Let's get intergalactic, why don't we?
I was so happy about Tears of the Kingdom. I forgot about the Marvels. Yo, this looks great.
Yeah, don't you tell me to smile.
Don't you tell me to... I'm so glad I watched Miss Marvel because I learned on the internet this week that not a lot of people watch Miss Marvel because they're like, wow, she seems really fun. And I'm like, y'all missed an entire show that she was in.
Right.
I'm glad that she is selling people on her own show because Iman Vellani is incredible. I love Miss Marvel as a show. I love her as a character. She looks really, really funny in this movie, being like the comedy fish out of water story to these badass space women. It just looks like a great like a Freaky Friday-esque like body swapping. Every time they use their powers, they end up in a different place type of thing. Just seems really fun. Like just a really good time.
Yeah. This trailer's very well cut together for giving you everything that this is going to be about. I love the swapping around of people. The bit where in the opening where Monica is blasted back and now it's Kamala. Really, really fun.
Nick Fury!
That just overall, like, the energy from this is popping.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. This feels like Nia DaCosta is going to knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
And I'm thrilled for her. I'm just so excited. This has all the energy I wanted it to have.
Yeah. The final action scene in the trailer, it's kind of like a one shot of them all doing like a move. Very like Civil War-esque looking, where it's like one beautiful.
And they're using their ability to transfer locations.
And they're using their ability to teleport and stuff. And I'm like, damn, that looks like some Marvel action. That's what I'm talking about.
That's some really good time. The other thing, like shout outs to the trailers, and I hope they keep this up. I hope that they don't show us the moment she meets Carol for
the first time.
For the first time in the film. Like, I don't mind seeing them on screen together.
Yeah.
But if they save when she meets her for the first time for the film, I'll be really happy with them.
Because at that point, Carol would have met her family and everything.
Yes.
And so she's really
Carol will have met her family and all this kind of stuff.
No, she's a
popped
super
into their
fan.
house twice.
Yeah. Oh, that is so great. Yeah, when she shows up, like, why does this keep happening? Like, she's so visibly mad.
Part of me is hoping in the movie that they just keep swapping and then Carol just ends up in Kamal's house and then Kamal's mom just goes, oh, hi, Carol. How are you? Or they're in the middle of dinner. It's like, here, Carol, we saved you a plate. You have to take some food.
Yeah.
I thought this would happen. Here, there's a plate for you. Absolutely.
There's so much fun energy happening here.
Yeah.
And she just pops in and she's like, or there's like an end credit scene where she's having dinner. There's a ring at the door, and the mom was like, "Hi, Carol," and Kamal's like, "Why is Carol Danvers in my house?" She's like, "Food. I was invited for dinner."
And you're gonna get into like whatever Monica's feelings are about being abandoned, feeling abandoned by Carol.
That's true.
And probably talking about her mom and things like that. And so like they're gonna have like this. Haven't really spent time with each other since Carol's been back and all this kind of stuff, and that dynamic between them that we know Monica was kind of carrying some of that energy going into WandaVision, and then amidst that is Kamala just being like, this is amazing. I love her freaking out at the Flurkin.
Oh my god.
Yeah
Goose. On this trailer here we see not the sword station, y'all.
Saber.
It's called Saber. That's fine. I get it. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I guess Sword. I guess are they technically like bad guys now after WandaVision? Is that what's happening? Now they're Saber. Secret artificial robots battery Saber. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
I'm super stoked for this, and they don't normally. And nowadays, like this is a trailer that came out pretty early because it comes out in November. That means they have a lot of faith in this if they're releasing it this early. Because remember when like Thor, it took Thor like we got a trailer like 7 hours before the movie came out. Like they're like, yeah, baby, this movie looks dope. We're gonna let you know about it now.
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very excited for that.
I'm super stoked. I'm super stoked to find out where it lands in comparison to Secret Invasion. You and I talked about this off air because, like,
Nick Fury.
Just to remind everyone, the Marvels was supposed to come out before Secret Invasion. So going money is probably that the events of this film are supposed to take place before the show. So we'll see how that all pans out.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm just so beyond jazzed. I'm happy because it looks like it's actually going to be a real knockout that people will have to be like, no, you're just being an asshole if you don't like it.
Yeah. Let's hoping for the best. Now, everybody.
Sorry, I mean, like, you're just being an asshole if you hate it. I do want to specify, like, you can not like the movie, and that makes sense. It's a thing where, like, you're going and giving it the most dislikes of any Marvel Studios trailer in 24 hours, where I'm like,
oh, it's so stupid.
Yeah, come on.
Dracula hates it. You know, Dracula loves our main topic. Fake Dracula teeth feel really weird in your mouth, y'all. Full ass spoilers for Renfield, directed by Chris McKay and written by people who I'm sure Sparks will tell me in 1 minute.
I'm working on it. Yeah.
We got Nicholas Hoult. We got
Ryan Ridley.
Ryan Ridley. Look at that.
Based on a story from Robert Kirkman.
That's right, Robert Kirkman. Walking Dead, Invincible Zone. Robert Kirkman. Look at that guy. Making copies, making money. Yeah. Full spoilers for Renfield. Hey Ben. You're part of a Universal Monsters podcast. You're familiar with Dracula. How do you feel about Renfield, his manservant?
I loved this movie. I had an absolute blast. This movie was so much fun. We'll get into it, but Nicolas Cage was awesome. Nicholas Hoult was great. I loved Awkwafina in this movie. I also loved Ben Schwartz. I had no idea Ben Schwartz was in the movie. You never see him in any of the trailers, or at least from what I can see. Maybe you do see him. Did you see him in the trailers?
You did see him in the trailer.
Damn it, I missed it.
That's okay.
But either way, I thought this movie was fantastic.
Hell yeah. I am unfortunately not as positive as you, Ben. I liked it, but I got a lot of issues with it, unfortunately. I think there's a lot to like here. I think taking a big swing about like modern Dracula dealing with like criminal gangsters is like a really novel, cool idea. For me, I don't think they went full as hard as the movie wants to be. I can feel the studio interference in it almost the entire movie. It's still allowed to be a big, gross, like, you know, action comedy. But there's just some things that just bother me, and mostly having the narration in a movie always bothers me, and this one felt particularly awful. There are just some points where like an emotional scene will be happening, and then he will have to narrate, "Here's what I'm feeling," in case you didn't get it. And it just that really frustrates me in movies when you don't allow your audience to just feel it, like you're telling them how to feel instead of them like gauging it for themselves. Overall, I think it's a lot of fun, but I wish I liked it more.
I had a pretty good time. I'm probably somewhere in between you two. I echo a lot of what Ryan's saying. I think there's a tonal problem with the film. I think that had it committed completely to the camp that I feel like it wants to be / sets up, then I would probably feel differently. But like there's an imbalance going on in this movie. But end of the day, I'd rather a wild, crazy big swing with Nicolas Cage's Dracula than not have this film at all. I think it's a refreshing taste of monster movie fun.
Taste? I agree. I'm done with these. Yeah, I'm definitely. I do agree. Like, I would much rather have this in my life than not. I just wish it was allowed to be the movie that it wants to truly be. Yeah. I think Nicolas Cage is sensational.
Yeah.
He
crushing it.
There's just a point in the movie where he's just like, he goes, okay. Just it's just what Nick Cage says, not what Dracula says. And I'm like, he's just being Nick Cage. He's having so much fun. Love it. I think he's menacing when he needs to be. The practical effects all look great. I love when he's oozy and gooey. As much as he is like fully formed or whatever. I think he without him, I think this movie would be significantly worse. I think he is a lot of the cream of the crop of the movie.
I completely agree. Looking back on this, the reason why I like this movie so much is because of Nicolas Cage's campiness as Dracula. you're absolutely right. I was even talking about this with my roommate last night, about how he's funny but menacing, how he brings the campiness that is this character, and also him being Nick Cage, but also there are times where he's legitimately kind of very, not kind of, but terrifying, where it's like, this is mother effing Dracula. He can kill you just by in a blink of an eye. And there are also parts where he's just funny. Like his whole plan to take over the world is like, it's like domination by D and Renfield and on a sticky note. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not enough will be able to be said about the fact that Nick Cage owns this film. This movie is living and dying on his performance. He's just absolutely captivating in the role, and so much fun because you don't know what he's gonna do, and what kind of craziness he's gonna bring to Dracula.
I love his like silly raspy voice that he's doing. He sometimes is like Transylvanian when he needs to be.
To his credit, he does a very good job acting through those teeth.
Yes, you can
he feels very comfortable in the prosthetics that he's constantly being put in. I think he's looking very good.
Yeah.
In particular, I really love the first time we see him in modern day, which is when he's like really got like skin kind of flopping around and like not really forming on him. And I was like, I love this look. I love it. And his performance shines through all of that. And I really, really enjoy him. He's just so full of this committed to the bit, narcissistic Dracula who's driven just by picking up kind of like on Bela Lugosi cues, but not 100% recreating it. And I really appreciate it. I think it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, what's fun is like real quick, like this is technically a sequel. Like they wrote it to be a sequel. Like again, we see it in the movie, like with like the Demeter, like all that stuff did happen. And it is funny to think like, and then 80 more years happened. Where would he be now? And I'm like, yeah, it would be modern day, and he would have to deal with bullshit like this. Like, it is a funny concept. And then seeing from the trailers, it made it seem like it was a weird superhero movie. Now it makes more sense that it was just like undercover gangsters hiding their faces. Like all that stuff smooths out. And I think the world is a fun world.
Yeah, I was gonna say I absolutely adored the ode to the 1930s film.
The opening.
Yeah.
So it's so good, and I have to gush about this because like I have seen a lot of media in my life, and there's always this attempt to like recreate what old films look like, and it's almost always imperfect and not getting it right. And this is so good because some shots are from Dracula and some shots aren't, and some shots are mixing them into shots from Dracula, and some shots are new.
Yep.
And like visually they made it perfect. It's seamless between those. They recaptured old film look so well that there's even one shot where like I almost thought it wasn't Nicholas Hoult and it was the original actor who played Renfield, and I'm like, that's not possible. Why would they do that for this one shot? That is Nicholas Hoult. But like it's so pitch perfect, and it's a shot where he's looking up from the lower deck of the ship doing his that is so accurate. Everyone who ever wants to do old film look needs to look to this production team now because they nailed it. They got it 100% correct.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I can't really gush about it much. I can't gush about it, but I just want to say because I remember I borrowed your copy of Dracula, like the original 1930s Dracula from you, Sparks, because I've always wanted, because I've never seen a classic Universal monster film up until that point. And when I was watching Renfield, I was like, man, you're 100% correct. They did such an amazing job recreating like the famous scene with Bela Lugosi on the stairs in the classic costume where he says, "I am Dracula." And it's Nicolas Cage. It's like, did they just put Nicolas Cage's face over Bela Lugosi's, or did they just recreate it? Because that I can't tell. It looks so good.
So when they are put into the Dracula film, their whole body is put in.
Okay.
So
they're on a green screen.
Their heads are not being replaced on.
They're on a green screen.
But they have done a very good job of editing around to make the background seamless behind them. But their bodies are, when it's them, it's their bodies are always
They're
in.
replaced. Yeah.
There are some wide shots where like it's actually still Bela Lugosi and the original actor, but like they're in wide, so it doesn't matter. And then there's some shots that are like the in between shots that are like the maid falling and that kind of thing. That's just straight up the shot from Dracula. Like they didn't put someone else in that, but like they didn't just replace their heads. They're standing in the movie, which is really great. It looks great. Incredible. It really is. Like it's just visually just such a treat, especially as a fan of those films.
Oh yeah.
But that's not what the movie's about. But it is really, really cute, and I'm really glad they did it because but it also like it does set up a tone. Because by today's standards, those films are campy.
Yeah.
Like they weren't then, they are now. And I think that campiness does kind of live in the opening of the film. And the more we get dragged into the Awkwafina storyline, and the further that Renfield pushes into that storyline, the more it gets into this like serious, very, very serious
Her stuff is like all serious. Yeah.
that doesn't jive with the campiness.
Yeah.
Awkwafina's actually like not allowed to be as funny in this movie, which confused me about why they cast her.
She's kind of like the straight man.
Yeah. She has good moments. I don't mean to like put her down or anything. It's just like why I thought she was the person cast in this role turned out not to be the reason.
Yeah. She is like what's his name? Lobo, Tommy Lobo or whatever. Like that's the energy I thought she was gonna bring.
Right. Ben Schwartz energy.
Ben Schwartz energy. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I did
BS
too.
energy. Yeah.
The crime family meeting up with Dracula kind of thing and like him using them as a tool is a fun thing and a cool idea. And like you see Ben Schwartz getting turned into a familiar from a mile away.
Yeah.
But I think for an hour and a half movie, it takes a little too long for us to get to that point. I think we spend a little bit too much time dragging our feet through like the Renfield and Awkwafina stuff.
Also,
at the beginning.
At the end, when he becomes a familiar, like 5 other dudes also become familiars, so it doesn't feel as impactful because they all just get killed like immediately too.
Yeah.
Hated that choice.
Yeah, I think I like all the action and I like how like bombastic it is. I do think the choice of like making the gore like extra bloody, so like every stab there's just like gushers of blood happening. I think it doesn't totally work for this movie. I think sometimes like when it's like I don't know how I would solve the problem personally, because like I think like the giant gushers of blood, like when he caves a bot, like when he's jumping down and he literally caves that dude's body.
That one in particular bothers me because we see a shot after where Awkwafina is stepping over that guy, and like, that guy is just there.
Yeah, like
there's nothing about his body that looks like that amount of gore came out of
I think the problem with it is that it's all CG. Is that all the blood is CG, and it just looks bad.
The implication to me is like that dude's body might not be in half, but it should be close.
Yeah.
At that point, and he's like just laying there on the top of the car, and I'm like, there's something else needed to be done with that.
And there wasn't like an explosion. Everything was still like I was like,
no. But like where the CGI blood didn't bother me as much personally. Was things like the ripping off of the arms. The
face rip.
The face. yeah, where the guy's just that was pretty
it's just like this, there's a lot of stabbing and it's just like and it's like it felt like 300, but I'm like 300 is like a comic book.
And like and to your point, I think it would fit if the movie lived in campy tone the entire time.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. I think again like Awkwafina stuff could have landed better for me if the tone of the movie was stronger. If it was more unified, I should say, excuse me. Because again, like her stuff with her dad, like the dead dad and the sister, that's all very serious.
Yeah.
Well, Renfield's over here eating bugs, like knocking people's heads off.
I want
like they're different movies.
I want all of the gangster stuff to be on the same level as Ben Schwartz and the 3 guys we meet at the beginning who are like, no, you can't take it back. Take the drugs.
Yeah, like that was so good.
I want all of the gang stuff to be on that level where it's all kind of farcical in a way. And it isn't. Like, once you bring in the mom, she's very self-serious. The stuff with the police department is very self-serious. And I'm like, we could have scaled this down a lot.
And the mom stuff is so, like, surface level, generic bad guy stuff. And that actress who's, like, again, the greatest voice actor of all time with her raspy, beautiful voice. I love Grayson's comment. One of my favorite CG spots was Ben Schwartz's Mortal Kombat death. 100%. That is a X-ray move from Mortal Kombat X. Yeah. That was awesome. His entire spine breaking, him shitting blood out, vomiting blood out. That was like, wow, that was extreme.
Yes,
that was.
But I want the movie to live in that tone the entire time. And 100%. Like, I feel like it could have, because like it's there. It's, you know, you're doing all these bits, like Nicholas Hoult is playing a Renfield who's like, he's got to eat bugs to activate his superpowers and all this kind of stuff. And like, it's there. And I wish it was just totally consistent the whole time and like utilizing that. I honestly thought this movie was going to be funnier.
I did too.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I did think it was very funny. I thought it was going to be funnier. I thought the whole point was going to be more comedy, but it's not that it goes into horror. That's there. But like, that's just because it's like, you know, Dracula, the monster movie and the vampires. And like, so that's implied, but it's more just like there's too much drama in this, and like it's not necessary.
Honestly,
I think the only part of the dramatic storytelling that works for me is Renfield going to the AA meetings, and I'll say like the only part of it that I feel should stay as dramatic as it is in the film is the part where Dracula kills everybody in that room, because I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I thought somehow they were going to work around it, but Dracula murdered all those people, and I was like, okay,
that should have
this was
been
going to happen.
Like the one emotional like down point of the movie. Like the Awkwafina stuff with her dad and like the sister. I'm gonna be honest, like I just don't care for it. Like I don't care that your dad was a great cop who got like it didn't do enough for me. I wish that could have been sidelined and just focused on Awkwafina with Renfield, because I think their chemistry is good enough for me. I think
you can just do that. Like she's tried to bust this guy, and like this guy committed blatant crimes while she was being pushed back to traffic. And it frustrates her because he's always getting away with it.
I don't need any more than that.
Yeah, you didn't need more setup than like he got to walk again. He just threw a bag of cocaine into a cop's face and he's walking out of here. Like, you don't have to make it more complicated than that. Not for this film.
I agree. Yeah.
Although, you can just say like the other cops are dirty, but like we don't need to bring in this family backstory. You don't need to bring in the dad. You don't need to bring in the sister.
Yeah, I do like Ben Schwartz a lot. I just love when that dude shows up. So, sure. He is just a
ton of fun,
a good time on screen. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What other characters have we got? Have we mentioned
Apache Joe, the racist assassin whose head gets punched into the window?
Is it still okay to make like a racist joke if you acknowledge that it's racist? Do you know that kind of joke? Is that like, because like it didn't offend me, but I'm like, I don't think that's particularly funny either, though.
Oh,
like,
they call it. I heard him say Patchy Joe, not as in Patchy.
No. That's why Ben Schwartz is literally on the phone talking about him and saying, "You call him racist. He's the guy who cuts out people's tongues with."
Yeah, it's Apache Joe, like is an Indian. Yeah.
I could have done with that.
Yeah, I just like.
No, it's in the 30 Rock territory of like, because we acknowledge it's racism, it's okay to make the joke.
Yeah. Also, at that point, Ben, I thought this was the time in the movie when we were going to learn that there were going to be other monsters in this universe.
Yeah, okay,
like I thought that was going to be a Frankenstein or like a zombie or something. And like, oh, we're going to learn that monsters exist in this world, and like, oh, it's criminals and it's monsters.
More importantly, Ryan and I had the same thought, which is there's a part in the movie where one of the gang family's cars comes all the way up to the camera, and you
Lobos,
see their wolf logo very prominently.
Snorting
and
cocaine.
I was like, yo, are they werewolves?
Yeah.
Are we about to get werewolves in this? Because if the story had been either about Dracula teaming up with werewolves or about Dracula finding out they're werewolves when he comes in there and he smells her, and then he's like, oh shit, werewolves. And like that becomes a whole thing where now they have Dracula. They've captured Dracula and are torturing him in the basement, and he needs Renfield now because he thought he had people on his side, and now they have him. That would have been like bonkers bananas.
Yeah.
Also, the scene where you see the first time you see the mom, and behind the screen you see a woman and a dude chained up on a chair. Part of me was like, Victoria Frankenstein?
Oh, sure.
I didn't think that at all.
Sure. I mean, like,
I get you. I just assumed that they were torturing people.
Torturing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were torturing people, but the same, But now that you mention it, I kind of wish there were other monsters, because I saw this with some of the cast from D and Dark, and after the movie, we were talking about who was who. It was like, oh, where's the Frankenstein monster? Where's the Wolfman? And you're right, the Lobos would have been great if they were all werewolves. That would have been awesome. And now I kind of wish there were other monsters. That would have been cool.
Yeah, I think that there was an opportunity, especially to like flip the whole thing on its ear, where like Dracula is adamant and consistent about saying like, I don't need you, Renfield. Like, I choose to utilize you, but like I don't you can't hurt me, Renfield. That kind of thing. And then him being trapped by werewolves would be a very like, oh shit, I need you, Renfield. And like the way you can turn that relationship on its ear, and like Renfield could just leave him behind at that point if he were. I'm rewriting the movie, and I don't mean to do that, but Renfield would have been able to leave him behind at that point. But Awkwafina would be like, "Yo, we can't just leave the city in the power of werewolves."
Yeah.
So like now he has to go kill these werewolves and Dracula.
There's so much like wolf because again, like Lobos is like
It's all over the
it's
place.
like a Mexican wolf. So I'm
Yeah,
wondering
yeah.
if like there was a bigger idea here that they're like, oh, we have to tone it down in some capacity because this is a relative. This movie cost $65 million, which is like relatively low budget for like an action movie of like what this is. So I'm like, I wonder if this had bigger aspirations or like we gotta cut it down a little bit. But I still
agree
think
with
it's
you.
good.
I feel like a trepidation from the studio, not willing to like fully invest into what this kooky idea is.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you tone this up like 20% more in the direction of where it's at its best and it's at its most weird, this movie rules.
Give me one more F you Kyle joke and I would have been like, there it is. Love it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the F
funny.
you Kyle jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy for you.
Yeah.
I did appreciate like there's some really good like bits and jokes. I really love when the cop is in the crime family room watching Renfield go through people, and when he leaps up and he's like, "Yo, he can fly!"
Yeah.
That son of a bitch can fly.
Yeah.
And then ripping the arms off, and he's like, "Oh hell no, I'm out of this."
Renfield just like arms. is
I think
ridiculous.
the arms bit is very funny. I
Yeah.
really like him slapping shit around with the arms, and when he like
He
throws it to
spears
spear
them.
the guys into
Just
the
like-
wall is really really good.
Yeah, I think all the action is really fun, and like again, like I wish the whole movie just kept that energy.
I think my biggest problem is with the Renfield, like, I'm going to take this step forward away from Dracula, get the apartment and everything, is that, like, when they come around on it and Dracula is there, it's like, it feels very half-assed in how he thought it through. Like, yeah, he's depriving Dracula, but like Dracula would never do anything about it.
He
Like,
just moved
it's
out.
like, it's like he doesn't think about it at all.
he's been doing this for 80 years, and he's just like, I'm just gonna get a new apartment.
Right.
Like that's it. You didn't
Yeah.
move out of the city.
That's like one of the weaker points of the film where I feel like it's just dragging its feet, and I'm like, just get us through this. Like,
Yeah.
I get what you're doing, but like we can go about this more efficiently.
Yeah.
And
At the
in a
same
better
time,
way.
I love Nick Cage in that scene.
No, I love when he comes to the apartment.
Yeah.
That's a great scene, but like you
Yeah.
can get there without doing the stuff in between that. I'm like this.
Yeah.
It's the movie slows down
I agree.
for that section
For this
where
movie-
it doesn't feel like it's giving me more information about the characters.
Yes.
It's just slowing down.
This movie is only like 90 minutes long, and I'm gonna be honest, I even felt it drag for 90 minutes.
You know
I
what?
don't
I want to say one positive before I agree with that point. The scene we're talking about where Dracula is in Renfield's apartment, I do love the joke where he looks at the welcome mat and goes, "Shit," because
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
really
I-
good.
that
I
is
always love a
good.
good
But I
welcome.
do agree because I felt like this movie felt like more than it was a 2-hour long movie. I did not feel like an hour and a half movie.
Yeah.
Unlike the film we saw last week, where if that definitely felt like an hour and a half movie. It was going like boom, boom, boom. This
Right.
one did feel like it was dragging its feet a little bit, and then I was like, really? It's only this o'clock at night? It feels like it's been a lot longer. And I do feel I will agree that that's to the movie's detriment. I don't know why though. Probably I don't know, because I wasn't bored. I was engaged the entire time, but I do agree that there were some slow parts of the movie where I wasn't like, oh, get on with it. I was just like,
It's
okay.
It's because like the bit that we were referring to before, where it's like it's him going shopping and doing all the stuff and like getting the apartment and all that, and then going and giving his witness statement and spending time with Awkwafina's character. It's fine, but like that's not telling me anything new about Renfield. It's not progressing the story of this movie in any meaningful way, and it's not unlocking something new about the characters. It's not like he engages in a major way more with her, right? Like the conversation isn't new. And I understand, like, you get very early on what they're doing with Renfield about like him wanting to break up this codependent relationship. That's all fine, well, and good, but like we didn't need to go through all the beats the way that they did them to get to that point, to get to the point where Dracula comes and confronts him about it. Like you could have gotten there in different kinds of steps and gotten us to the same end, but more efficiently and in a way that was really rewarding, and could have spent more time on the things that were working about the movie where it wasn't. And I think a good example of that too is also when like Dracula's playing the bit on Awkwafina's character to like, I can bring her back, just choose me. And like I get that it's to torture Renfield, but I'm like that goes for a long time. Where like where we're, you know, it's just not moving crisply through this story.
You just feel during that scene, you just feel like the scene in Maya Python where they just keep constantly yelling, "Get on with it."
Get on with it.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not utilizing its runtime to its maximum. It's really like filling air in a couple of places instead of like really taking advantage of what the story wants to be. It feels
like they wrote a 70-page script and like, shit, we need 20 more pages. We need give Aquafina a sister. Go have a Renfield get an apartment and some clothes to fill out the 10 minutes. Because it doesn't really add much to this ride.
Right, and I could have gone more. Honestly, give me another scene of just Dracula chewing the scenery, maybe with Ben Schwartz. Honestly, I wish we had one more scene with Dracula and Ben Schwartz. I'm sad that it was as limited as it was.
I wanted
it was
more...
really engaging because I really love when he's like, "Are you happy? Or are you going to mess me up?"
Yeah, that's great. And I love when like when he first meets the mom and he's like, "Nice to meet you," and he's like, "Oh." Like, are you gonna bang my mom? Oh, like I could have used more of that dynamic. Like again, like I don't think the mom villain was I don't think she had to be because she's not really our main antagonist. I think she's just I think
if she's not going to be a werewolf, then she doesn't need to be in the movie.
Yeah. Or like let her like get bit by Dracula or just something to make her more interesting because she's like, I'm just a bad guy. I'm like, yeah, cool.
I mean, I do agree with that because you do in the very beginning of the movie, you do see how she is very much willing to get her hands dirty, even though like she was tutoring someone on how to cut a person up, which is messed up.
Yeah.
And then you get this feeling about how she is willing to kill everything, everyone, and anyone who stands in her way. And and then the rest of the movie, you don't see this evil side of her. To be perfectly honest, when she meets Dracula, I was kind of hoping she would become Dracula's queen, or he goes, you know what? I'm going to turn you into a vampire as well. And then she becomes absolute. She's like she essentially realizes her bloodlust full on.
I thought that was going to happen too, 100%.
So there's another aspect to this film that I was kind of surprised it wasn't utilizing, where I honestly thought that part of the relationship that they were going to play up, and it's fine if it's not, is that Renfield had always been promised by Dracula that eventually he would be a vampire, not a familiar anymore.
They never said that once in the movie.
And like that's not it's not there. It's not there. And I kind of thought like that's something that like you can get a lot more out of the dynamic between them and like what that means.
Yeah.
And like about why he stuck around and why he like you can really push that like you chose power for yourself. Like you can play victim, but this was all about what you gain out of the situation.
Here's the thing. This movie kind of messes that up because as far as I am aware, in other familiar, when you are a familiar, you don't become immortal. Like you still age. So like I think that's something different where Renfield should be a 90-year-old man at this point, but he is super powered.
He'd be older than that.
So, but what I mean is like he doesn't need the vampire promise because he is immortal and he does have superpowers.
Right, but like having that power makes him Dracula's like equal, not his servant. And like they can both have familiars then, and like you can utilize that promise. My point was going to be because like how much more nasty of a turn would it be if Dracula didn't make Ben Schwartz a familiar, but made him a vampire?
Oh yes,
and like that kind of like twist of the knife, like that's not even because he cares. It's just to hurt.
It's spite.
And, like there's so much more you can play in what that relationship is because like Renfield means something to Dracula, or he wouldn't go on the murder spree in the meeting, and he wouldn't do things the way that he's doing them if he didn't want to hurt Renfield personally. So like there's something that actually means something, and I think that's an important part of like what's missing in the film if you're going to focus on this idea of a codependent relationship, is that the person who's still holding the power in the codependent relationship is also still in the relationship and invested in a way, even if they want to lie to themselves about it. And like that would have been a way to really drive that home about like Dracula caring. You know, not in a way that you want him to, but like he does
in the way that an abuser
does
cares because like they have power over someone, they don't want to lose that power. And like the scene where Dracula is like, I'm gonna kill everyone just to spite you, just because you betrayed me. And that is Dracula having feelings for Renfield, even though they're all negative feelings. He does feel a way.
Right. Yeah. Grayson bringing up a point, like I thought that what they were doing with Renfield was using Dracula's blood to stick around. I don't think like, well, he's not like addicted to it, and I don't think it's the thing keeping him. It is like the thing keeping him alive and immortal, but like that's just being the familiar as part of that, is having the Dracula's blood served to you. But I think the reason they get away with the familiar rules, like you're saying, is like you're talking about general vampire rules. We're following strictly Bram Stoker's Dracula adapted into the Universal Pictures film. There are no rules about what familiars can or can't do. So they're just playing in that limitless space where like he can stick around because we say so, and that's fine. But I don't mind that. But
no,
like,
I don't either. But I think that's why they can't do the vampire thing, because he is basically a vampire, right?
But again, like it's about that like being acknowledged as like
an equal.
Like it's a graduation idea. Like you serve your time, and eventually I'm going to bring you into the vampire brood, and we'll both have familiars. Like we'll be friends.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a goal,
and I'll care about you because like I'll acknowledge you as like a person in my eyes. You're a part of, like, rather than being my follower, you're a part of the side of the world that benefits. Like I think of it, and like that can be a thing that like Renfield is diluted and appealed to in the beginning, and something that has like waned over time.
I think
that angle is there. Just anything to make the relationship dynamic and Dracula's actual investment in it more prominent in this film, I think drives home the idea of what it's trying to do better.
Renfield, I like that they're just like, Renfield did abandon his child and his wife. I like that. Like, there's like, he did do a really bad thing. He was out there for greed. So like, he does deserve Dracula in a way, but like, hey, you can learn from your mistakes from 80 years ago or whatever. It is funny that like, she's like, I don't think you're a bad person, Renfield. And he's literally killed like how many hundreds of people over the last 80 years? Like, okay. The most prolific serial killer of our time. Okay.
So just like really good one-liners in this movie. Absolutely. There's this excellent exchange when Teddy Lomo first encounters him, and he's like, do you know who I am? I'm Teddy Lomo. I'm Count Dracula. You win. I think like there's a lot of really good zingers and solid line choices. There's a film that knocks it out of the park with another pass and a little more confidence in the tone that it wants to go for and committing to the bit, rather than feeling like it needs to ground it more than being just goofy as hell.
Just accepting what it is. Bringing up one-liners like the Teddy Lobo of like, this all seems a little bit familiar, and his eyes float. I'm like, that's so cheesy. I love it.
It is cheesy, but also I love how he snorts a centipede like it was cocaine. Gross, but also it's like makes sense.
Ben, can you explain to me why? And I talked about it with you. I just want to get from Ben. Renfield and all these guys, they have to eat bugs to get superpowers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In the fight between another familiar, he just eats more bugs and he just becomes more strong than the other familiar. I didn't understand that part, because he just eats a bunch of bugs and then he like super kills him. But the other guy is a familiar who does the exact same things. Do you have to eat like 5 bugs to get 5 times as powerful as opposed to 3 bugs? Do you have to consume more bugs to become more powerful? I thought it was just you eat a bug and you're powerful.
Yeah, I thought that too.
I think it's a cop out in the end a little bit of just like, I to be the bad guy, I'm just more powerful. Don't think about it.
I think that the other end of it, and I do think it's confusing because of him just like horking a bunch of bugs in the car. But I think that like you have limited time. Like there is a time limit on how long the bugs charge him for.
Sure.
And I can buy that when he walked in, he was charged. By the time he gets to the part where Teddy Lomo's like really kicking him around, the charge is gone and he needs to recharge.
I wish I believe that. I wish they conveyed that in the movie better.
I honestly wish they had made a little bit more of a bit at some point of, especially like with Teddy Lomo being a familiar, of utilizing them both. Honestly, like you get your bit, like kind of like Everything Everywhere All at Once, where they're familiars with their powers and both of them lose their charge and they have to get to their bugs, but they can't get to their bugs.
That would have been
so they're
so
just
good.
Kind of like so slapping at each other.
That's
that kind
such
of
a good
thing.
reference.
And like they have to get to like, just like in Everything Everywhere All at Once, like activating the skills from another universe.
The power.
They have to get to their bugs, and so it's like who's going to get to the bug first?
They're chasing flies around.
I think that would have been really good.
That would have been really funny.
Yeah, Grayson agrees. He thinks you're on at Sparks.
God, there's like a whole action scene of them like leaping over each other trying to get to this one fly.
or they see a spider up and they're like, spider.
Yeah. Well, that's a different movie, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. But it's all the more speaking to like
what is
There's
there.
something so wonderful here. There really is. And there's
Yeah.
something so beautiful and goofy and weird about this idea and the execution with Nicolas Cage, Nicholas Hoult, who I think is doing a pretty good job most of the time.
Yeah.
I'll shout out in particular that I really love when he does the it's something I wish he did more, but at the beginning of the movie when he goes and he approaches those guys and says, "I'm a friend of Caitlin," he has this bit where he does a laugh and he says, he adapts the classic film Renfield laugh into a more normal laugh, but it's still there. And I wish he did that more, like that it's like this indication of like Renfield's madness. And so the idea that could still live a bit in him, I wish he did it more than just once in the whole film.
I do wish he was less like romantic lead, more like manic, like weird guy. Because like he is like he plays a lot of these type of roles, and like he's so good at being like a weirdo. But like
it feels like he starts weird and he gets more normal.
Yes,
and I wish he stayed weird.
By the time he's in the sweater and he got a beautiful haircut, like that's just a pale guy. That's just a pale. That's a white dude in Southern California. Yeah. Well, speaking of white dudes in Southern California, any other thoughts on Renfield before we wrap her up, guys?
You know, after talking about it with you guys, I do definitely see the flaws. I think I was just more hyped in how. Funny enough, I was blindsided by Nicolas Cage's performance.
Well, sure. Look, there's a lot of really fun and good stuff. There's just a lot of cracks too.
Yeah.
And I agree with Ryan. Like, I think the movie is a whole decent chunk better if it just loses that narration.
Yeah.
I think there's one sequence, but to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you exactly which one. Where I think it's good and it's useful. And it's pretty much the opening, like doing the recap, like him guiding us through the
that's fine.
like all the stuff of like, this is who I am. And I think when you're using it in terms of him like talking about Dracula, even if we're not seeing Nicholas Hoult on screen, but he's talking about Dracula in the meeting.
Yeah,
I think that's all fine.
Yeah.
But then outside of that, I don't think
it's the stuff that's
useful.
It's funny because we were talking about like problems I have like Illumination of like, well, that just happened.
Yeah.
And literally like the first joke of Renfield is like, oh, I didn't think that was gonna happen in narration, and I was like, oh, please no, not the whole movie. Luckily, it's not the whole movie, thank God. But like, you know, we just watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that is a movie that is free of studio interference, that was creatives allowed to make their vision. And I see that with Renfield, but the studio is like, it's just too weird. We can't allow it to be that weird. And I would just like, I know there's a better movie here. Like I see it. There's so much good shit in here. Hampered by like, but I'm a producer. I'm like, that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I see.
Unfortunately, this movie is bombing hard. This movie came out this week and it came out in 4th place, behind John Wick, behind Mario, behind whatever else came out. Yeah, it's unfortunately people weren't excited.
Behind D&D.
Behind D&D. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I'm sad that this isn't being received in a way where like just more people aren't seeing it, because like I want them to take more swings like this. Even though this one didn't land 100% the way I wanted to, I still had a good time watching it, and I'd like to see more choices in this direction.
Yeah.
With the Universal monsters than just strictly trying to do horror remakes over and over and over again.
Not everything.
I don't want them to feel confined to that. I want them to feel like we can get this kind of goofy and out there.
Not everything needs to be a franchise, but like I could see this being like, yo, we have the dark horror thing happening, but like this is our jokey version. This is the fun one. We got Nicolas Cage as a Dracula. We got Charlie Day as the Invisible Man. Like just we can have this be the fun, goofy version. Like I wish we could live in that world, but this movie again bombed. So like, unfortunately, the last voyage of the Demeter. It's up to you. It's up to you. Good Dracula this year.
I'm excited for that. I just like. I think that's really cool. I just don't want that to feel like the only thing that they can make.
Yeah,
with these monsters. Yeah,
because again, this is a fun big swing, but unfortunately it didn't totally work out. Ben, why don't you relate it?
I was gonna give it an 8, but now after talking with you guys, I think I'll give it a 7.5.
I will say I wish this film had come out in October. I think it would have stood a better chance.
Spookier season.
I do feel like it was a mistake to bring out a film prominently featuring
in the summer, but after Mario,
a Nick Cage Dracula in the summer. I don't know what the thinking was there to drop this movie now.
Yeah,
I would have rather that it came out later in the year, especially because this is back half of the year is much less crowded as far as like big name IP.
I agree, and even if this movie isn't like a total success, I think it would be more successful in that time period.
Yeah, more people would be willing to be like,
Dracula,
the Nick Cage Dracula movie. It's spooky time.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
when big movies come out I'm sure some people still haven't seen Mario or John Wick or Dungeons and Dragons, like they're trying to catch up.
Yeah.
I get it.
Absolutely.
I will give it a solid 7. I think there's a lot to love, but just not enough to make me love it.
No, I agree. I'm also at a 7. I think that it's got some amazing parts that don't all go together with some of the parts that are dragging it down. But it's such a wonderful swing. I hope more people come to it over time because I think it's really, really fun.
Absolutely. I agree.
I had a great time watching it. I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend
Time
me
for the
ears.
book club.
That'll do it. We are saying to Brandon, and it is his book club this week, so we're skipping it. But we do know he will be on next week, and we do know what the book club will be, and it is Doodaloo, Star Wars related. I'm happy Brandon picked this choice because he not only picked a Star Wars book, he picked a Legends book. He picked the Legends book called Star Wars: Dawn of the Jedi Force Storm, and this takes place 25,000 years ago in the Legends timeline. Will this be what James Mangold's movie is about? Hell no, because this shit doesn't matter anymore. But I'm excited to read it because maybe it'll be influenced on what could possibly be happening.
Sure.
Love it. I'm so excited that Brandon picked that. Next week, y'all, our topic is probably my most anticipated movie of the year. It's Evil Dead Rise. Oh my God, April showers bring Ben screaming flowers. Cannot wait. Ben's probably not gonna be on the episode, but I'm gonna drag his ass to that movie theater one way or another.
And he'll be talking about it at some point
Yeah,
this year.
yeah. He will be experiencing it, and that's all that
Ben's
matters.
going full Evil Dead in October, y'all.
Cannot wait. It's gonna be a spooky season, y'all. Coming up on the channel, we got a couple more cinephile things coming out. Some will be on the main show, maybe some will be on Cinephiles, we'll see. But Indiana Jones. We're doing that because I believe there's a new movie coming out soon. June?
Yeah.
June.
End of June.
Gotta turn that dial up, baby. And
Is it end of June? It might be end of
I think
July.
it's coming out in a J month. After Indiana Jones, we're gonna be doing some
It's June.
Mission Impossible. I was gonna do the theme, but I already forgot it.
Yeah.
Dun,
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 dun, dun, dun,
She's
dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun,
basically,
dun.
between our regular episodes and then sometimes on our regular episodes, you're going to see a lot of Indiana Jones and Mission Impossible discussions coming up in the near future.
Hell
So
yeah.
now's the time. If you haven't watched those things, Indiana Jones, I'm sure you have, but Mission Impossible, now's the time to catch up because we are going to be talking about them two
Hell
at a
yeah.
time.
I don't know why, but whenever I think of Mission Impossible, I think of the Mission Impossible Fallout trailer with the Imagine Dragons song, "Can't fight the friction," and it's like the dopest trailer I ever saw in theaters, and I'm like, damn.
Punch.
Yeah. Oh, and you're right, 100%. Yeah.
Gotta reload my arms.
Gotta reload my guns, baby.
Reload those cannons.
Yo, baby. We watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, and those had some butt plugs in it, but we don't have any of those on this podcast. But we have some regular plugs. So let's talk about Brandon T. McClure for a second. His second season of Conversation is coming up. Oh my God. I'm looking at the date. That's soon. That's next week.
Mhm.
April 19th. Episode 1's popping off. New logo, new season, same Brandon. Can't wait. On the YouTubes, hey baby, Fake Nerds Watch will continue forever with the 2 Star Warses. Nope, that's a lie. The 1 Star Wars and the 1 Star Trek, the 2 Star shows, I should have said. Picard and Mandalorian. Those are going to keep on popping until they're done.
There are 2 episodes left of both shows to talk about, so we'll see how they all end up this season.
I got a good feeling about both those shows. That's
Yeah.
nice to feel.
So check us out there.
We got, goodness gracious, y'all. We have Basement Arcade. Mr. Ben Magden himself. I'm sure he's talking to some lovely folks coming up. We also have Basement Arcade Pause Menu. Wait,
Yeah,
that's the one where you
switched
talk
up.
to people.
Yeah.
Basement Arcade is where we play video games. We haven't done
Yeah.
that in a while, but we will
yeah.
be doing it sooner or later.
I have a feeling that Ben's going to have to set aside some time when he comes back from Hawaii to start building for something for Spooktober.
That
Yeah.
space is about to get deadly, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Also, Callisto
Yeah.
Protocol on sale. Sorry, Ben. Fake Nerd Book Club is another show we do where we talk about comics in full length sometimes, and I'm sure we have some new episodes coming out with that as well. Check out some of the older episodes. We've done plenty of great books like Power Rangers and Wasted Space. Choo Choo, Animation Station. Do we have any? Maybe?
Yeah, we have something coming up real soon. Ryan and I are going to be doing a Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur end of the season discussion. We'll talk about the last episodes of that season because that show's awesome. So that's definitely on our horizon. We're waiting just a little bit because we haven't finished it, but also because I'm trying to give Brandon a little bit of time because he's going to try and catch up and join us.
Hell yeah.
The other thing is Animation Station is going to have 2 Star Wars related episodes coming out soon. We're going to do a discussion on Visions Season 1 and Visions Season 2.
Doodaloo. Love it. Like it, love it, wants more of it. And then one final plug for the Real Score.
Real scores out there. You got
Real
The
Score.
Batman by Michael Giacchino coming out later this month. Is an episode on The Mask of Zorro, the score composed by James Horner.
Ooh, da-na-na-na.
That's right.
Love it. If you guys want to support us, we got the Patreons. You want to throw us a buck or two to help keep the lights on? We would greatly appreciate it. We also got a TeePublic with some fancy merch, some great teas. I think you can buy mugs and shit. Lots of cool stuff.
Yeah.
We also have a website, thefakenerdpodcast.com. If you want to look at any of the things we've ever made in the past, it's all there, baby.
What a great website.
Wow, what a great website.
All links are in the description.
We steal so much from the Ringers. It's so funny. I love it. They're the best. We want to say thank you to the listeners. If you are watching this live, if you're watching the replay, if you're listening to us in your ear holes, thank you. Appreciate you. Like and subscribe if you haven't. 5 stars
We
if you
love
can.
you.
Every little bit helps. Love y'all. Thank you so much.
Essentially, this is the part where I turn into Patrick Starr from that one episode where goes, I love you.
I love you. Jeremy Vellucci, main man behind our music, also new collaborator on the Real Score. You can find him at Jeremy Vellucci _Wreck of Time, which is the band that he is in. He does all of our theme music, like I said. He also has a fun radio show podcast called Suburban Proctologist, which you can find on iTunes, Facebook, and Instagram at Subproc Podcast.
Yep.
Mike Matola, man who makes every logo, new and old, almost every logo.
Many logos.
Many logos.
Many
The OG
logos.
one right here, at least.
The new conversation logo is from
There
Mike
you go.
Mottola.
There you go.
Good friend.
At Mike Matola, all over the internet. Instagram, TikTok. I'm sure he's on LinkedIn. Spotify or whatever. Hey guys, if you want to get involved with our show, which we'd love for you to do, you can find us on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook at the Fake Nerd Podcast. If you want to email us, which I don't know if we ever get. I don't think we've ever gotten a single goddamn email. Please email us. I would love to read your emails. fakenerdguys@gmail.com. Ask us any question. And I'm not the guy who reads emails, but I'm saying it on. If you send an email in, I don't care what it is, I will read it. I will read it online.
I'd have to ask Brandon, but I do think people emailed in their voting for the Fake Nerd.
Oh,
Awards
sure.
last year.
If you have any
That's
random
another thing we
questions
have coming up is Fake Nerd Awards soon,
Yeah.
so look out for the nominations.
Oh yeah, that'll be happening in a few months or so. After all the a million other things that we're doing.
Yep.
So guys, if you can, find it in the kindness of your hearts to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, in podcasts, in Pandora. What other ones did we miss? Did the Zune Marketplace? Did we get that one? Shazam, Pandora. We said that one already.
The Apple one?
Apple. Did I say Apple? Hey, also Apple. That's the one I use the most.
Where can they find us?
Oh my God, I'm getting to it. Don't worry. Rate and review wherever you can get us. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. If you want to get to us personally, personal social accounts. You can find Ben Magnet. Where can they find you, Ben? Layout of this is all wonky. I'm just saying.
Oh my God. You could find me
I get
busting
it.
some viruses and trying to get through Metroid as fast as humanly possible to get ready for Tears of the Kingdom at BenMagnet27 on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You could also find me writing for Fusion Gaming Magazine, Old School Gamer Magazine, GoNintendo.com, as well as playing Mary Frankenstein in D and Dark. New episodes out on Wednesdays. And Grayson, good to have you here, buddy.
Thanks, Grayson. You're the best. Mr. Sparks, where can they find you?
You can find me also just cleaning up my last bits of God of War Ragnarok, getting ready for Jedi Survivor, which is a game I'm super excited for. I'm very confident Ben will not be part of that discussion because there's just too darn much going on. At SparksWitty on Instagram, Twitter, SPARKZWitty.
You can find me, Mr. Ryan Dracula, at DJ Tony Stark 616, just listening to more ska, because who doesn't love a good trombone?
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about what a ridiculous amount of ska jokes. Oh,
What did ska ever
Ska's
do
still
to
alive.
what did ska ever do to this writer?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I really do like the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones in the Digimon movie.
I do.
That was
25 years old.
I really
Shut up.
like when the ska gets turned off. The three guys are there with the cocaine, and he's like, "Oh man, that was the best part."
yeah, I love it. The Mighty Boss Tones guy
I
dancing
think
in
those
the
are
background.
lyrics to a ska song.
Yeah, love it. Well, thank you guys for watching. Again, like and subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for watching. And until next time, is it this one?
Yep.
Please stay fake nerds.